Hello, hello, hello. And how are y'all today? Hope everybody's having a wonderful Monday. I'll just take a couple of seconds while I get things adjusted, get myself in order. I literally just walked in the door like 2 minutes ago from work. So today it was down to the nitty gritty, but I made it and I'm here for y'all. So y'all just give me a second where I always give a couple of minutes and see if anybody gonna come join the party anyway. So as I get set up, once I get set up, we're gonna go and jump into this because I am excited about doing this lesson tonight. So get my charger out just in case I get long-winded and my battery wanna die on me. I got my writing pad and I'm gonna set my clock so I can see how long-winded I'm getting. How you doing, Miss Alicia? Appreciate you being here. Hope you've having a wonderful day. Set this clock. Set this clock so I see how long-winded I am. All right, there we go. Getting the lesson open. Right there. If you're going to be following along your Bible, you can go ahead and open up. I'm going to be in the... Took my charge out just to put it back up. I'm going to be in 1 Samuel. We're going to jump back to Samuel. Y'all know we kind of stepped away last week. I want to do that lesson that I had did, the sermon I had did with the church about hating the truth because you're loving the lie. I hope y'all enjoyed that. I really kind of wanted to be a two-parter, but I don't know. My spirit just told me go on and get it done last week so we can jump back over to the book of Samuel. So I did. I obeyed the Spirit's command. So we're going to be in 1 Samuel chapter 3 tonight as we go through this lesson, as we look at God's people in this point in their life when they didn't really have a close relationship with God. And if y'all saw it from the beginning when I started going over Samuel, I told you Samuel is probably the first, this as we go through the book of Samuel, we're going to see this is the first time in quite some time, at least a couple of generations, when Samuel come on the scene that people going to start to have a relationship with God once again. So we about to start getting into that. We're going to see how Samuel end up being that spark that led to Israel back in the direction they need to be so they can end up having a relationship with the Lord. But we're going to still see some of the harmful side effects and harmful effects of not having that relationship with the Lord as we go through this story of Samuel here tonight. So again, we're going to be in Samuel, 1 Samuel chapter 3. It's a small chapter, it's only 21 verses, but as I went through there, I ended up with like 16 points. And y'all know me, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it through 16 points. So we're gonna make it do what it do. I'm not gonna rush it. You know what I'm saying? Just to stay within a time limit. I'm just gonna go with what the Spirit say. You know, the Spirit tell me, hey, shut it off. I will. If you say keep on going, I will. I'll just follow the Spirit and let God lead me to what I need to be doing. So good. Thank y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and get started because I do want to spend some, like I said, a good amount of time in. I don't want to be a rush lesson, and I want to because this is gonna be an important lesson. This is a very important lesson. We're gonna go well. All of them are important. No, let me stop saying it's important. Like this is more important than the other one. All of them are important. But this is something that we're going to deal with. First of all, thank y'all for joining me tonight. Brother John Stewart on behalf of the Lost Sheep Ministry, on behalf of sponsored by River Lake Baptist Church. What up, cuz? Appreciate you being here. That's my cousin from Memphis here. You know she in Nashville now. But appreciate y'all being here this Monday, last Monday of the summer. You know, it's about to be autumn time, and I think the summer don't like that because it decided it wanted to be hot again today. Try to burn me up today, but I'm all good. Luckily, I got some protection, some natural protection. But I thank y'all for being here. Hope y'all had a wonderful Monday. Thank y'all for being here. Like I said, it's been a busy Monday for me. Had several things going on, but I wanted to make sure I got here to present this lesson to you guys. Luckily, I got the lesson prepared. Had just enough time to get the lesson prepared and get here to get the run in my mouth about Jesus. So I thank y'all for being here. Pray that you had a good, safe day, and pray that you brought your hearts and mind ready to hear this lesson today so you can hopefully help build your relationship with the Lord. Of course, as always, like I said, we're going to be in 1 Samuel chapter 3. And tonight's lesson, I don't know if you saw my post that I posted on it. I always try to put the title to kind of let you know what to expect, what we're going to be talking about as we look through this book of Samuel. Tonight's lesson is going to be called God's Talking, But Are You Listening? God's talking, but are you listening now? And like I said, this is an important lesson. And the reason why I feel this lesson, like I said, it's not more important than the other lessons. Everything in God's word is important. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying something is better than other. But this is an important lesson because one of the things that I do, y'all know I talk about it all the time. Definitely gonna come up tonight. I talk about, soul winning. And that's going out, knocking on doors to tell people about the Lord. And it's two things, just as a servant of God, that I come across a lot that really bothers me. It irks me when I hear it. There's two statements that I hear all the time. And it kind of irks me. I want to get in the flesh. I don't get in the flesh, but I be wanting to get in the flesh. I swear sometimes I want to get in the flesh when I hear these. And the reason why, because most time that I hear the people saying it are people that don't have a relationship with God. And there's two things that I hear often when I'm out there knocking on doors, when I go into the jails to preach and things of this nature. Two of the things I always hear is, one is, God don't talk to me. God, I don't know. God never speaks. I wish he'd just show up and talk to me, kind of thing. And the thing is that bothers me about that, God talks to us all the time. We're just not listening. That's where this lesson comes from. And we're going to see it here in this story tonight that we're going through as we look at Samuel. God has always talked to us. If you're up right now, if you're awake, if you woke up this morning, you open your eyes and you breathing air, then guess what? That's God talking to you. He's telling you he loves you because he gave you another day on this earth. You know what I'm saying? If you out here doing things that you're not supposed to be doing and you ain't there yet, then guess what? That's God talking to you because he giving you another time. You see what I'm saying? He give you another opportunity to do the things that you're supposed to be doing. God always talks to us. And the problem is that we don't know when he's talking to us because we're not in tune with him. So, you know what I'm saying? So, again, God talks to us all. I hear that all the time. God don't talk to me. I wish I can't hear God, or, you know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. Or I hear sometimes I used to hear God, but I can't no more, kind of thing. And I always tell people when they say that, like, well, God is still the same God. So, if you used to be close to God and you're no longer close to God, who moved? Because God didn't move. 9 times out of 10, you turned your back on him. So a lot of time I hear that I don't hear God. God don't talk to us. God don't talk to humans anymore. We don't hear God. And I also hear, again, I hear people that don't have a close relationship with God do everything they can to rebel against God. And then something bad goes on in their life. And the first thing they want to say is, where was God? Those are two things I hear all the time. And like I said, they just irk the mess out of me because 9 times out of 10, the people are saying those things, those who are questioning God, where is God, don't even have a close relationship with God. So they don't even know God's presence. They wouldn't even know God's presence if it slapped them in the face. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of people are always complaining about this. They can't hear God, and you know what I'm saying, that they don't know what God wants. And the reason why they don't is because they're not in tune with God. You gotta, if you're gonna know, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but if you're gonna listen to God, you're gonna be able to hear God. You gotta have a relationship with God. You can't have a relationship. If you don't have a relationship with God, you're not going to hear God. If you don't have a relationship with God, you're not going to know what God wants you to do because you're not doing the thing that allows him to talk to you and work through you. Even though he talked to us, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, when the land is dry and the rain comes, that's God saying, I still love y'all. You see what I'm saying? Again, if you got food in your mouth, you got clothes in your back. No matter, it might not be the food that you want. It might not be the clothes that you like. It might not be the nice clothes you like. But if you got food in your mouth and clothes in your back, then God will tell you he still loves you. You know what I'm saying? He'll give you another, if he woke you up to give you another day to get things right, then he's telling you he still loves you. And we don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times, the reason why we don't hear God, because a lot of times we can't hear God is because either it's too easy, 2 reasons. One is because we don't have that close relationship with God, or 2 is because we just don't want to hear what he's saying. We hear God, we're just not listening. We don't want to hear what he's saying because God is telling us to stop living our lives the way we do. God is telling it's something that we're doing that we love doing, that if we have to listen to God, then we're going to have to stop doing those things. And see, our pride gets in the way and our own selfish ambition get in the way, so that when God do talk to us and tell us to do certain things or go certain places or not do this, not do that, we often don't listen to him. And then we just chalk it up to, oh, well, God, he didn't say it clearly enough. I mean, I get an example. When I was going through that, I was thinking about an example that happened to me. Like I told you, like I said, I'm bringing up soul winning a couple of times tonight, and it's going to be important to the lesson too. But I remember one day I was down in Dixon knocking on doors. I was down in Dixon knocking on doors in the projects down there. And I came across this young lady, got to talking to her, and she said she wasn't saved, you know. So whenever somebody said they're not saved, especially because a lot of times people don't just come out and admit it, or some people they're not sure. But then some people, they actually know, like, no, I'm not saved. So I got to talk to her, and she was like, well, why aren't you saved? Or, you know what I'm saying, is there a reason? I try to get to the bottom. Like, is there a reason? Because sometimes just had a bad experience in church, or sometimes it's just a matter of nobody never presented the gospel to them. I mean, there's several different reasons why people are not saved. Sometimes people just like, nah, I just never made decisions, never want to do it kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? I had it. So this young lady, she was like, well, she had some bad experiences at church. So she's to a point where she don't even believe if God is real kind of thing. So she's, starting to doubt if God is real. So usually when I'm in a situation that I had that point in my life where I didn't believe God was real. And if y'all know my testimony, which I hope you do, most people don't really know my testimony, but for about 5 or 6 years, I kind of went my own way and rebelled against God, and started to doubt myself that God was real because I had been through so much. And this was kind of the same situation this lady was in. So whenever I come to about it, come across someone that's kind of in that same situation I was in, one of the things I do, I like to share my testimony with them. I tell them about, the time, the point in my life where I felt that I was doubting and I didn't think God was real, and how God showed me that he was real. So this is a natural occurrence. I do this all the time, and a lot of time I try to, share my testimony. So I'm sharing my testimony with this young lady. And if y'all ever heard my testimony before, you'll know there's a point in my testimony where I talk about a guy that was planning on robbing me and killing me, kind of thing. And he was one of the first people that I really got to talk to the Lord about, talk with about the Lord. And end up, changing life. Me and him end up becoming brothers, before he died, kind of thing. So I'm sitting there and I'm talking about this guy, and I bring up that he's from Springfield. And the girl say, really? She's like, because I'm from Springfield. And I'm like, really? I was like, well, you might know him. And I said the guy's name. Guess what, y'all? She knew this dude. Now, you got to understand something. I'm from Memphis originally, moved to Nashville, and I met this guy when I was living in Nashville. Then after Nashville, gave me like the guy, ended up moving to Murfreesboro. And then I moved to Waverly, Tennessee, which is where I was staying at the time. Now I'm in New Johnsonville, but I'm in Waverly. And I just happened to, because I moved to Waverly, started soul winning and going out knocking on doors, and I just happened to end up, Dixon is one of the areas that I go in and knock on doors. So look at all the things that aligned for me to be there, stand in front of her. And then the same thing for her. She was from Springfield. I can't remember what she lived there, but about God's grace, she ended up being up in Dixon when I knocked on that door. So we sit there standing, and we got this connection. So I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. This gotta be, if she can't see that this is a sign of from God for me to be here talking to her right now, then I don't know what else. What more can God do? So I'm talking to him when we found out that when we had that connection there, so we got to talking and everything. And so when I got through and I finished up my testimony and told about the guy Mandrika, because like I said, she knew him because again he died a while ago in a really bad car wreck. And she told me, she said, I was actually hanging out with him the night before he had that car wreck. Because he was in Springfield, she was in Springfield. They hung out the night before, and he was on his way down to Nashville the next day when the accident happened and ended up killing him. So I'm like, man, that's amazing. Like, of all places for us to run into each other right here in Dixon, I'm 40, 50 minutes away from home. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember where she moved from, but she way from where and we just got this one dude, random dude that I just happened to talk about. I mean, how much obvious can it be that God had ordained this meeting between us? So I'm going over this with her, and so I'm like, so what I'm saying, would you like for me to get through share my testimony? I'm like, okay, so would you like to for me to share the gospel with you? And she was still like, well, I just don't know, because I'm still not sure about it. I'm like, lady, what else do you need? She said, well, I need God I need to know for sure that God has talked to me. I like, lady, I'm from Memphis, lived in Nashville, lived in Waverly, and I just happened randomly to knock on the door to come across somebody that know the same dude I know from Springfield that's a part of my testimony. I'm like, how much obvious can God be? I'm like, what else he got to do? She said, I don't know. I said, well, I guess you need to slap it, you know what I'm saying? And but she was still doubting that God was real, even though we had all the way the stars aligned for me to be there, happen to talking to her, us having to me, it can't be no more obvious that God is talking to you. And don't you know that I left there and young lady still was like, well, I need him to show me. And see, that's what we expect. We expect the heavens to open up and, you know what I'm saying, the chariots of fire to come down from heaven. And God be like, yes, I'm talking to you. That's not how God works. You know what I'm saying? God works in the way he worked. I just happened again. All the things that I went through for me to be in the situation I was in, knocking on that door, and all the things for her to go through to be in the situation she was in, and for me to come across her door, and you know what I'm saying, to be talking about God at a moment when she didn't know God. And yet that wasn't obvious enough for her. You know what I'm saying? I was so frustrated with that, but at the same time I had to understand. See, natural man can't discern the things of God. And that's the problem. She was a natural person. She wasn't a spiritual person. So she did not have the discernment to see that, look, God can't be no more obvious that he was talking to you. It's several times I've been out knocking on doors, and I knew, and the other person, I had another situation where I was knocking on the door, and while I went and knocked on the door, I was in Dixon again. I just thought of that. I was in Dixon again, and I was out knocking on doors in Dixon. And this young lady comes to the door, booing, just crying, just tears flowing down her face. And I'm not good with women crying and just people crying in general. I'm not a good consoler because I've always been like just, you know, for me, myself, I always just had to tough it out and suck it up. But she's crying. I kind of, you know what I'm saying, asked her what's wrong kind of thing. And she's like, man, I'm going through some problems right now. I'm possibly getting evicted from my apartment and I don't have nowhere to stay. And she said, I was just in here praying, asking God to give me a sign or to show me that he still cares. And she said, literally, as I finished up that prayer, you knocked on the door. So I like, well, see, that's how God, and I told her, I said, that's God's will. That's how God works. And then I asked about her salvation. Turns out she wasn't even saved. You know what I'm saying? So through, you know what I'm saying, through her tears, I shared the gospel with her, and through her tears, she prayed and asked the Lord to save her soul that day. You know what I'm saying? And I prayed that the Lord will bring some insight into her heart and show her what she needed to see so she can get out of the situation that she's in. But I mean, it could have been more obvious. She was literally, as she was praying, asking God to send her a sign, I knocked on the door with a track like, hey, do you know Jesus Christ your Savior kind of thing. You see what I'm saying? God works all the time. He does stuff like that all the time. But we're so natural minded, we're so worldly minded that we just blow it off as, oh, that's just coincidence. Oh, I've heard people say, oh man, I got lucky. Or people tell me sometimes, oh man, you got lucky. And I tell people all the time, I don't believe in luck. Look, I believe in God's divine will. I believe that everything that happened is going to happen, that's meant to happen is going to happen. As long as I do my part, God is going to do his part. I believe in God. I don't believe in luck at all. I don't believe in coincidences. When you cross paths and he's like, oh my goodness, I never come to this place and I step in this place and I come across somebody I ain't seen in 10, 15 years. That's God blatantly showing you you're exactly where you need to be. I used to have this thing that I did, and I still do it. Like I said, I don't see it as happen as much, but I used to have this penny theory. Because I noticed after I gave my heart to God, I always see pennies just laying around. And most people don't pay attention to them because they're pennies. That's like the smallest, when you think of money, that's like the smallest denomination there is, a penny. But you got to understand, it's still a blessing. You know what I'm saying? You pick up that penny, you 1 cent richer than you was before you picked it up. So I got to a point where I was always, you know, saying like I almost be searching for them really, but I'm always out and I'm always kind of looking. And if I see a penny, I always picked it up. I mean, I be in traffic. My kids used to think I was crazy because I'd be in traffic at the stoplight in traffic, and I look down, there'd be a penny, and I put my car and drive. I mean, in the park and get out and grab that penny, like right in the middle of traffic, as long as the light ain't going, of course. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I did that, because I always felt it was God directing my path. He was showing me that I was on the right path. Because again, even though the penny is the smallest form of money there is in America, it's a blessing. It's more money than you had before. You're 1 cent richer. And trust me, if you get enough pennies, then you will end up rich. If you collect all of them, you know, you get billions and billions of them, that adds up a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I always looked at it. And a lot of times, and the reason why it was significant to me, because a lot of times I would find these pennies on days where I wasn't sure if I did where I was supposed to be at, doing the things I was supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? My day I had plans to be here doing this thing, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, the way the day went, I end up over here doing this thing. You know what I'm saying? I'd be like, man, did I waste my day where I was supposed to be at? And then I stop in the store somewhere, or sometimes I just pull into a parking spot, and when I open my door, bam, there's a penny right there. So I always felt that was God communicating with me. He was like leaving little breadcrumbs, showing me that I was where I was supposed to be at, doing what I was supposed to be doing. But God is always talking to us. God is always talking to us. But again, a lot of times we can't hear it because we don't want to hear it. Because we don't want to hear the things God's saying. God is saying, hey, we need to stop doing this, or we need to start doing this. And we don't want to hear that. So we just say, oh, well, God don't talk to me. God ain't guided me. God ain't told me nothing. When in reality, God is talking to you all the time. You're just not hearing him. And it's very important. And the reason why, like I said, this lesson is important, because you got to understand how important it is to be able to hear God when he's talking to you. Because in reality, in the grand scheme of things, somebody's well-being, maybe even somebody's eternal dwelling, can be based upon you listening to God's instruction to your life. What am I talking about? And this is a perfect example. This is a brother of mine, and this is his testimony, and he can tell it better than me. But I've heard it so many times, and it's just a wonderful testimony. So there's this guy, and he's actually somebody that I look up to when it comes to soul winning. Phenomenal soul winner. This guy has led, I think, close to 10,000 people. I might be, it's in the thousands. I think it's close to 10,000. It might be somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 people, which is a lot of people. You know what I'm saying, to the Lord. But before that, he was back in his testimony started where he was when he was a younger man. He actually went to Bible school, you know what I'm saying, got his degree in theology and all those things, and he kind of working as like preaching as a side job. And he had a wife and some kids. I can't remember exactly how many kids, but he had a wife and at least a couple of kids. So one day, his wife comes to him and it's like, hey, we finna run down the road, run down the street to Walmart. Do you want to come join us? And he's like, man, I just had so much stuff going that day that I'm like, no, y'all go ahead. You know what I'm saying? Y'all go ahead. I got too much work to do. So his wife and kids, all the wife packs up the kids, they leave. You know what I'm saying? So they get down, so he goes to doing whatever he work on. So about 30 minutes later, he hears a knock on the door. So he's like, who is this? He ain't expecting nobody. He goes out to the open the door. It's a sheriff's officer there. Hey, his name is Terry Godwin. Are you Terry Godwin? He like, yes. He's like, well, I hate to report to you that there's been a terrible accident and your wife and all your kids have been killed in this accident. So, just 30 minutes later, before his wife asked him, did they want to go to the store? He said, no, he wasn't going to go. And they left and ended up, his wife and kids were killed. Now, of course, that's a lot. That's rough. That's rough for any man. So, of course, what that did, drove him away from God. You know what I'm saying? So from that moment forward, he said, he worked, went to church for a little while, tried to pray on it, but he was just so hurt that eventually he just got away from God. And for years, I don't know all the details, I can't tell you, but for years, I want to say 10, 15 years, this man didn't do nothing for God, didn't want to have nothing to do with God, didn't want to have nothing to do with God. So over the course of these 10, 15 years, he ended up getting married, remarried. And the lady, and she wasn't really into God neither, but she ended up getting saved. So she ended up getting saved, and so after she got saved, she started wanting to go to church. But again, this guy, like, I don't want nothing to do with God, you know what I'm saying? Because he was bitter about what happened to his family. I don't want nothing to do with God. So she got saved. So she was just kind of harassed, like, hey, we need to go to church. We need to go to church. So one day, now they both drove trucks. He's a truck driver, and this kind of significant. So they both drove trucks. So he was a truck driver. So he was leaving out one day, and there's a little church on the little highway that he was getting ready to turn on that was right by his house. And his wife, she was getting on. It was a Sunday morning. You know what I'm saying? His wife, man, we need to go to church. We need to go to church. We need to go to church. So the church that was across from him where he was sitting in his truck was a Methodist church. So he said, so he told his wife, just kind of being a smart aleck, like, I tell you what, next, when that church turns into a Baptist church, I go back to church. He said, when that church right there turns into a Baptist church, I go to church. Now, this church had been a Methodist church for quite some time. So, you know what I'm saying? Of course, he's thinking, that ain't going to happen. So, pulls out, goes on the road. Now, he had a dedicated run where him and his wife, like I said, they did in tandem. It was like a 3-week run. So, they go on the road for 3 weeks, come back 3 weeks later on a Sunday morning and get ready to pull and go into his house. And his wife was driving. And his wife, he was back in the sleeper thing. So she pulls in, she's pulling down the road, and she said, Terry, come here, look. He said, what? That church that was a Methodist church 3 weeks before was now a Baptist church. So you know what he did? He said, you know what? Pull over. He told the wife, go ahead and pull over right now. So he pulled over in the parking lot. Now, it's a Sunday morning, so church service is going. He had his wife pulled over. He got out of the truck, walked into the church while the preacher was preaching, and just went straight to down and walked through the back door, went down and got on the altar and started apologizing to God and told God, from now on, basically told God, I hear you. You know what I'm saying? From now on, my life is yours. And from that day forth, that man started serving the Lord. And like I said, now he's led almost, I know at least 5,000, but almost 10,000 people to the Lord. And not only that, there's people he's led to the Lord. There's churches where he was able to lead, 50 different families to certain churches. There's people that he's led to the Lord that's now overseas in China that's winning people to the Lord. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, I don't know if y'all know who Jason Aldean, and the reason I said this is significance of realizing when God is talking to you, because he realized when that happened that God was talking to him. God couldn't have been no more obvious. He said, when that church becomes a Methodist church, I go back to church. He came back 3 weeks later, that church was a Methodist church. So God was telling him, get his butt back in church. There is some work for you to do. And he answered that. And about 3-4 weeks ago, I don't know if y'all know who Jason Aldean is, but he was able, what he's doing now, he's a driver for Jason Aldean, driving the stage around for the concerts and things like that nature, just driving basically all the stage parts around for Jason Aldean for his tours or whatnot. Well, a few weeks ago, a situation came up where Jason Aldean was questioning, his relationship with God, and he was looking for somebody to talk to. Long story short, one of the guys knew Terry, knew how faithful he was, knew he was a man of God because he had led 2 or 3 other of his truck driver co-workers to the Lord. So they kind of mentioned Jason, like, hey, we got this truck driver guy out here always preaching, talk about God. Why don't you talk to him? So they called for him. He went and talked to Jason Aldean, and he was able to lead Jason Aldean and his wife to the Lord about 4 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that has a word. And then Jason, he said the thing is, Jason on conviction really wanted to get him to serve the Lord. So, you know what I'm saying? So he's been working with him and telling him what he need to do, serve the Lord. And this is somebody that got probably worldwide, worldwide reach from all his albums and things that he sold. This is a superstar. And he was able to lead the superstar to the Lord. This man, and they said this man had reached out to like Buddhists, and he had talked to all kinds of preachers, and nobody can tell him what he needed to know for sure he was going to heaven. And the guy just realized, hey, this Terry guy, this truck driver guy, he's always talking about Jesus. Why don't you talk to him? And Brother Terry went up there and talked to Jason Aldean, and he was able to lead Jason Aldean and his wife to the Lord. You know what I'm saying? How wonderful is that? Why? Because he heard God when God was talking to him. And see, he was out of tune with God at the time, but he had enough in him from his previous, before he got out of his relationship with God, he had enough wisdom in him to realize that, hey, God is still talking to him. And we're going to see that tonight. It's going to come up tonight. That's why I want to share. That's a phenomenal story. And this guy, like I said, I look up to him. Like, you know what I'm saying? I've led over 400 or something to the Lord, so I'm not nowhere close yet. But he got a way bigger head start than me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm working toward that. I'm hoping to lead me. I'm hoping to lead the world to the Lord. You know what I'm saying? I want to lead everybody. I want everybody to be saved. You know what I'm saying? I'm literally trying to save the world. You know what I'm saying? But my point is, because this man realized that the Lord was talking to him, he gave his Lord to calling him back into the work. He rededicated his life to the Lord after running from the Lord and rebelling for the Lord for all those years. And now the Lord is using him in a mighty way. Same with Paul. Same thing happened with Paul. What was Paul doing? Paul was killing Christians. You know what I'm saying? He was hounding them. You know what I'm saying? They said, like, he was breathing out all kind of threatenings. They was like, man, you need a warrant. And I don't even need no warrant. I'm just going to go. I'm going to find them. I'm going to bring it to y'all. Then y'all do what y'all want to. He was, you know what I'm saying? He was killing Christians. He was persecuting the church until what? Jesus showed up. And if y'all really know that story, if y'all read the story, if you're familiar with that story, it says that he saw the light. And it said that Jesus called out to him, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? And what did he say? He said, who art thou, Lord? He didn't even know who he was talking about, but he knew it was the Lord. He said, who art thou, Lord? He realized that God was the one talking to him because of the situation that he was in, the way the events happened, the light that shone from heaven. Even though he didn't know God, he knew it was God talking. So when Jesus said, why art thou persecuting me? He said, who art thou, Lord? You know what I'm saying? And he said, I'm Jesus of Nazareth, the one you persecute. He said, now get up and I'm going to show you what you're going to have to suffer for me. And Paul did suffer. But look, the reason why I'm talking to y'all today, the reason why we as Gentiles, we're Gentiles. We're not Israelite born, so we're Gentiles. The reason why us Gentiles today have the ability to get our souls saved and accept Jesus Christ as our Savior is because Paul realized the Lord was talking to him and he started listening. You see what I'm saying? So that's important to know, one, that the Lord talks to you every day. You got to know that. But two, you got to understand it's important to listen when he talks. Because if I'm talking to you all the time, I'm telling you stuff all the time, and you're not listening, then why would I talk to you? What's the point? You know what I'm saying? Y'all know another part of my testimony, I got a brother, a younger brother, love to death, did everything I can for this kid to help him have a good life, but he just chose the Memphis way. He just, pardon me for lack of a better word, he just too niggerish. He just, I can't teach it out of him. You know what I'm saying? He just holds on to all the negative stuff that happened to him in his lifetime, and he let it guide his life in the path. And he's on a bad path. He was in jail for about 2-3 weeks. Just got out a few weeks ago. And you know what I'm saying? He called me, and I told him, bro, there's nothing else I can do for you. I said, I'm gonna pray for you. I said, you know what I'm saying? I said, I'm not giving you money for no bail. I'm not putting no money in your books. I said, I'm gonna pray for you. I'm not giving up on you because I'm still praying for you. You know what I'm saying? Once you start praying for somebody, then you gave up. I told him, I'm not going to give up on you, but there's nothing more I can do for you. Talking to you don't help you. You know what I'm saying? You want me to come and help you now with money and things like that and feel sorry for you. But in reality, I was trying to help you when I was telling you to stop doing those things that you was doing so you didn't have to end up in those situations. I was helping you when I was telling you not to treat that woman like that, the way you treat that woman, so you can avoid that situation. I was trying to help you back when he had a baby mama that he ended up cheating on. And, you know, he came to me and I told him, don't cheat on her because you're going to lose her, because he had already been treating her horrible. You know what I'm saying? But he was faithful, but he hadn't been treating her horrible. I said, if you cheat and she find out, there's going to be the straw to break the camel's back. Don't do it. And he cheated on her, and she ended up leaving him and taking his kids. Came home one day, her and the kids were gone. He didn't see his kids for 6-7 years. You know what I'm saying? And he was depressed because of it. Brother, everything I tell you, you don't listen. So what's the point of me constantly talking? And that's how God looked at it. I'm telling y'all, you know what I'm saying? You got the Bible. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I'm showing you every day. I'm waking you up every day. You got food in your belly. You got, you know what I'm saying? You got a place, a roof over your head. I'm telling you that I love you, but you're not listening. So it will get to a point where you won't hear God because he's no longer talking to you. But at the same time, he will come. Every once in a while, check back with you. Let me see if he's going to listen to me today. And the thing, what happens is we're so out of our relationship with God, we're so out of touch with God that when he do talk to us, when he do show up and say something to us, we don't recognize it because we're not in tune with him, because we haven't had a consistent relationship with him. And that's vital. You got to understand, you got to be able to realize when God's talking to you, because if you don't realize if you can't discern when God's talking to you, then you might think God's talking to you, and it might actually be the devil talking to you. You know what I'm saying? There might be some suspicion, especially today, though. That these kids these days, they didn't get into this astrology and these angel numbers and all this weird stuff, you know what I'm saying? Burning sage and all that stuff. And my kids, even though I preach to them every single day, you know what I'm saying? We do Bible study. They want to bring that mess, read horoscopes and fortune cookies and all that stuff. And I told y'all, that's foolish. I'm like, that ain't how God talk to you. God's going to talk to you through your heart. He's going to talk to you through your spirit. You see what I'm saying? But if you don't have the ability to discern when God is talking to you, then you might be led astray by a demon or the devil himself. Because what it say? It said even, you know what I'm saying, people focus on these angel numbers. That's the big trend now, angel numbers and all that. And what it say about Satan? It said even Satan has the ability to change his form and appear as an angel of light. So you have to have the discernment to be able to know when God is talking to you. Because like I said, it's somebody's life, somebody's whole eternity might hang in the balance from you listening. Like Brother Terry, you know what I'm saying? Imagine, he's been all over, like I said, he's a truck driver. So he's led people to the Lord all over this country. You see what I'm saying? It can possibly be the world, because he's supposed to be starting driving for another big band, and they're going to have a world tour, and he might be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? So imagine had he not, that day when he came back and saw that Methodist church had been changed to a Baptist church, and he decided, that's just coincidence. No, excuse me, y'all. Just played it off as a coincidence, didn't realize God was talking to him, and didn't answer that call. It's thousands of people right now whose soul will still be on their way to hell because he didn't answer that call. So it's significant for you to understand God is always talking to us. God talks to us every day. Like I said, if you woke up today, he's talking to you. He's saying he love you because you still got air in your lungs. You still have that business, especially if you're on Facebook. That means you got a phone. So you got to have a couple of dollars, to pay your phone bill, to be able to get on Facebook. He's telling you he love you. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's very apparent. Sometimes it ain't. But the thing is, even when it ain't apparent, if you're not in tune with God, you're not going to know when God is talking to you. You see what I'm saying? You have to be in tune with God and have a close relationship with God and be able to know God to know when God is talking to you. And that's what we're going to look at. And this was all introduction, but you know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's just, you know what I'm saying? I went through this and it just touched my heart. Like, man, this is going to be a good lesson, because that I come across it a lot. It's so many people that don't know, that they say, they really believe God don't talk to me. Or I don't know if God is talking to me. I wish he'd be more obvious, because everybody wants that the angels, you know, that show up, and we want the light from heaven. And, you know what I'm saying? We want to hear the voices. You know what I'm saying? I've never heard a voice. I've never heard the voice of God. I've never seen the light, but I know God talks to me every day. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I do these lessons I do, because I want to show you that God talks to you every day as well. And we in a situation right now that we're looking at. We're in 1 Samuel chapter 3. I ain't even got into the word yet. We're in 1 Samuel chapter 3. And we're going to be in a situation where these people are in the same situation. They're looking for God and don't realize that God is trying to talk to them. And they don't know, because they don't have a relationship with the Lord. You see what I'm saying? You're not going to hear the Lord if you don't have a relationship with the Lord. You know what I'm saying? And it can be blatantly obvious, like it was that one young lady I was telling y'all about in the beginning. Blatantly obvious that God had sent me there to talk to this young lady, and she was still, I'm not convinced. I need God to be more obvious. Lady, he can't be no more obvious than that. You know what I'm saying? So tonight's lesson is, God is talking, but are you listening? And that was all intro. I'm praying, and I'm going to jump in. Like I said, I got like 16 points, but I know already I'm not going to make it through it. But so it's going to be a part 1 and part 2, but I'm going to get through as much as I can. I'm going to try to keep it about an hour and a half. I ain't going to hold y'all too long tonight. So I hope you know what I'm saying, you're ready to listen. So I'm going to go ahead and pray and jump into this, all right? Dear Lord and Father, thank you so much for watching over. It's already been good, man. That was just the intro. I really didn't intend on getting that deep into it like that, Lord. But like I said, I always let your spirit lead me in the direction I need to go. And I thank you for letting your spirit be present here tonight as I present this lesson, because it's so important, Lord. We got to realize that you are talking to us. And that I want the main idea, the main thing I want people to realize from this lesson is that God is, you're calling us right now. You're calling us back to you right now. You're showing us with the things that's going on in the world. Look at the prices of the food. Look at all the famine and the hurt and the wars. These are things you're doing. You're talking to us. You're telling us to come back to you, and we're not listening. No, we're not listening, and we're just blaming you for everything, but really it's our fault because we're not listening to you. You're calling us back to us. You're telling us that we don't have a lot of time to get back to you, and we need to before it's too late, but we're not listening, Lord. So I pray that as we go through this lesson tonight, you let your spirit work through me to bring out these truths that we see in this chapter here. Same people in the same situation. You was calling out to them, and they just really weren't listening because they didn't know how to, because they didn't know you, Lord. So send your spirit down upon my heart and give me the wisdom I need to bring these truths forward, Lord. And also ask you to send your spirit down upon the hearts and the minds of those that's watching this video, so that the spirit might bring them under conviction and to help them see if there's points in their life that you've been calling them and they haven't been listening, and give them the want to go start listening to your word and start listening to your commands, so they may be able to do the things that you have for them to do, so we can bring this word back to you. We just ask for your spirit's presence tonight as we go through this lesson. And I say this prayer in your wonderful Son, Jesus' name. Amen. Again, that was just intro and prayer, but it's just real good because, like I said, this is so important. We got to be able to, if you can't realize these things when God's talking to you, you're never going to be able to live up to your full potential. You're never going to be able to do the things that God has for you to do. Like I said, sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it ain't. I'm thinking about Miss Alicia on here. She's been faithful. This is the second week. I met her 2 weeks ago. Like I said, out knocking on doors. And just as soon as she stepped out the door and we got to talking, I knew I was there where I was meant to be. And that was one of those days where I wasn't sure I was in the right area. I wasn't sure if I was where I was supposed to be, because it wasn't the place I really intended on going. And didn't have a lot of what I would call results that day. But I did have a great conversation with her. You know what I'm saying? We had a great conversation, and she said she gonna listen in sometime. And I get that all the time, and people never show up. And she started listening 2 weeks ago and been faithful ever since. See, it was God showing me I was exactly where I needed to be. You know what I'm saying? Because I came across her, and hopefully I'm helping her build her relationship. You just never know. That's why you got to keep going forward and doing the work that God has for you to do. So again, we're gonna be in 1 Samuel chapter. We're gonna look at this situation with Samuel. Now, y'all know the first two chapters, the order of Samuel. You know, he came from his mom. I think her name was Hannah. Hannah. She couldn't have kids. This man Elkanah and his wife Hannah. Yeah, it was Hannah. She couldn't have kids. So y'all remember she prayed to the Lord, give me a kid. If you give me a kid, just bless me so I can have kids, I will give them back to you. And then, of course, the Lord heard her prayer, ended up giving her a kid, which was Samuel, the first one. And she ended up dedicating Samuel to the Lord's service. And I'm not going to go back through it all that. Y'all can go watch all the videos last 4 weeks to get into all that. But that's just quick of what happened. So Samuel, and we saw at the end of last chapter, Samuel, he was serving the Lord. So he's still serving the Lord. He's growing. He's a little bit older now. I don't know. They don't really give a timeline. I don't know how many years, but a few years now he's been serving the Lord and doing the things that he's supposed to do for the Lord. So that brings us to where we at now in 1 Samuel chapter 3. And I would like to say before I get into the word, I am reading out the New Living Translation, but I am a King James believer. Matter of fact, I read both versions, and when there's something, when I think the translation kind of off or leave out some good stuff, I always read the King James. I actually got 3 or 4 places tonight where it's going to be 3 or 4 different places where I'm going to take the King James over the New Living Translation because it kind of takes away from it. But I do believe in the King James version. That is the word of God, but his New Living Translation just helped my people understand, because this is a lost sheep ministry. It's for people that don't quite had a relationship with God. So I'm not being a heretic. I'm just trying to make it easier for everybody to understand. So if you follow with me, we're in 1 Samuel chapter 3, and I'm sorry, the Lord tells us this in the first verse. So it says, meanwhile, the boy Samuel was serving the Lord by assisting Eli. All right, so the first thing, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you, the point of the nice lesson is, of course, is God's talking, but you're not listening. So what I'm going to do, these points that I'm going to give you is 16 things that I saw as I went through this chapter 3, 16 things that I saw that you can, 16 actions you can take, things that you can do that bring you in tune with the Lord so you'll be able to know when the Lord is talking to you. Things that you need to, either things that you need to do, action items you need to take, or things that you need to remember, that if you remember these things or you do these things, you will be able to know when the Lord is talking to you, and you'll be able to know when the Lord is talking to you. So it's 16 things that you need to do so you can get in tune with the Lord, because that's what it's all about. That's why, again, we don't feel like the Lord talking to us, or we can't hear the Lord talking to us, because we're not in tune with God. And if you're not in tune with God, you're not in tune with the things of God, so you're not going to know when the things of God present themselves. And these are things that you can do so you're being in tune with God, so you be able to know when the things of God present themselves. So with that being said, again, verse 1, it says, meanwhile, the boy Samuel was serving the Lord by assisting Eli. So that's going to actually bring us to our very first point. The number one thing, and this is really the number one, and it's number one thing that you can do if you really want the Lord to talk to you. You really want to be able to hear God. You really want the Lord to talk to you. Number one is this: aim to be a servant. Aim to be a servant. That should be your life goal. Your life goal, if you really want God to talk to you, you really want to have that conversation with God when you know the Lord is working through you and working for you, you should aim to be a servant. What am I saying? We got to understand something. You call yourself a Christian, you know what I'm saying? There's 3 levels to Christendom. I might not be pronouncing it wrong, but 3 levels. You know what I'm saying? You got saved. That, and a lot of people don't realize, just getting saved, that's just the first step. That's the first step. You know what I'm saying? That's like sending God a friend request. God accepts all friend requests. Being saved is just the first step. You see what I'm saying? Now, being saved is the first step. Then, as you grow, as you spend time in your word, you know what I'm saying, as you go to church, as you be around godly people, then you start to grow, and then you can grow into becoming a good Christian. You know what I'm saying? That's the next level, being a good Christian, which means you go to church on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? You read your Bible on a regular basis. You do what you can to help people out when you can. You know what I'm saying? Out of love, not out of, I want a reward, or I want to look good in front of people. You actually, genuinely care about people. You do what you can to help them. You know what I'm saying? You might even give out a tract every now and again. That's the second level. And that's what you all, at least, I hope you at least aspire to be there. You know what I'm saying? But the third level, the highest level you can go, is being a servant. That means you giving your whole heart, your all to God. Because even with being a good Christian, you still got other things that you may have put a lot more effort and time into than you do the work of God. You know what I'm saying? But you good Christian, you put the effort in, but you got other things that take your heart away. But when you're a servant, God is the priority. You know what I'm saying? That's your main thing. Everything else comes after you do your godly things. And you know what I'm saying? That's where you should strive to be. That should be your life goal. You should want to be a servant. And that's what happened here. So he said, meanwhile, the boy Samuel was serving the Lord by assisting Eli. He was a servant of the Lord. And see, when you're a servant of the Lord going to talk to you, because if you're a servant, then that means you have what? A master. And how's a servant know what he needs to do if the master don't tell him what needs to be done. You see what I'm saying? So if you want the Lord to talk to you, then you need to be a servant, because he's going to instruct you. He's going to show you where you need to go. He's going to show you what you need to be doing. He's going to show you what you need to not be doing. You see what I'm saying? But a lot of people don't make it to the level because they're not really make that sacrifice. Because again, it's a servant. And what will does a servant have? He don't have any. You know what I'm saying? When you're a servant, you got to do what your master wants. It ain't about what you want to do. And a lot of us don't like giving it up. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us don't like giving it up. That's why we never take that extra step. That's why we never put that extra effort into becoming a servant, because we have to give up our wants. We have to give up our likes. We have to give up, honestly, really what it boils down to, we have to give up the world. And we love the world. You know what I'm saying? We love that sin that the world gives us. You know what I'm saying? You know, I tell people all the time, I tell my kids, you know what I'm saying? Sin is a reason why we love it. Because the Bible even said the pleasures of sin. What is the pleasure? Something that feels good to you. You know what I'm saying? Doing that wrong, doing those things you're not supposed to be doing, it feels good to you. You know what I'm saying? So we love that sin. We love that feel, that pleasure that living in the world gives us. You know what I'm saying? And we're not willing to give up those things so we can be a servant. Because when you're a servant, then guess what? You don't get to do the things you like. You know what I'm saying? I told y'all before, y'all heard me say it before. You know what I'm saying? I'm not snitching on myself. I love smoking weed. I love smoking marijuana. Love doing it. Wish I could. You know what I'm saying? But 5 years ago, look, almost 6 years now. Is it coming up on 6 years? I think coming up on 6 years ago, I finally decided that I wanted to be a servant of the Lord. I wanted to give my whole heart to God. And I knew that as long as I was smoking marijuana, that I couldn't give my whole heart to God. You know what I'm saying? Because when you get high, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? If you get high, then, you know, what if you get high, and right when you get high, somebody call you for the word? You can't get nobody the word, you high. And what made me realize that, and I probably told this story before. I'm sorry if I told the story before, but it happened to me, and it would show me that I had to give marijuana up. I was in a situation, like I said, no, it was about 6-7 years ago when this happened. Yeah, right. Yeah, it was 6 years, because I'm coming up on 6 years. So it was a little over 6 years ago. I was in a situation. I was hanging out with a buddy of mine and his girlfriend. And we was all smoking weed together. And we was all smoking weed, so it ain't like I was just smoking weed and then trying to talk to them. We was all smoking weed. So, you know, if you've ever smoked weed before, you know, there's a lot of conversation that go on during the process of rolling it and all that. It's really good conversation. That's one thing I miss about it. I just used to have really good conversation, really get to know people. But anyway, reminiscing. But so we sitting there having this conversation, and we had just talking, getting to know the girl. This is my first time meeting her, so getting to talking, rolling everything. So we had just lit the blunt up and just started hitting it. So we get to hitting it, and I can't remember exactly how it happened, but somehow God came up, and I'm like, God came up. So I let me ask her, this young lady, do she know if she's saved or not? You know what I'm saying? By this time we had been smoking for a few minutes, and turns out she said she wasn't sure about her salvation. So I'm like, oh man, I get to share the gospel with her. So I go to try to share the gospel with her, and I was so high, I just couldn't get it done. Like, I mean, I just wasn't making no sense at all. I wasn't fluid as I usually am. I was trying to use examples, and I was messing them. Honestly, if I did anything, I probably made God look worse. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sitting there high and trying to tell her how Jesus loved her and how he died, and I was so high that I could not get my thoughts together. And, you know what I'm saying, it got to the point where I really just like change the subject, like, because it wasn't happening. You know what I'm saying? And that bothered me, because I'm like, man, what if this was this girl's only chance? What if I never see, because this was my first time ever seeing her. And, you know what I'm saying, my buddy, I love him to death, but he kind of changed women like he changed draws kind of thing. And he had been with her for quite some time, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, man, what if I never get to see this young lady again? And what if this was maybe the only opportunity she ever would have got the chance to hear the gospel, and I can't even present the gospel to her because I was high? You know what I'm saying? That bothered me for the longest. You know what I'm saying? That I might have let her, you know what I'm saying, let the kingdom of God suffer because I wanted to get high. You know what I'm saying? So I knew that if I'm going to really do this thing, if I'm going to really be a servant, that I got to let that weed go. As much as I love it, you know what I'm saying, I got to let it go. Because at any moment that can happen. At any moment you can be, because you know what I'm saying, like, because what I used to do, I didn't smoke all throughout the day because I got kids and things like that. But I would get all my work done, get everything done, and then like I said, once the kids go to bed around 10, 11 o'clock, you know what I'm saying, I go out back and I blaze me up and I just finish out my night. You know what I'm saying, that's how I finished out my night. Got my Bible reading done, all that, and then I went and blazed up, and I was like, no, this is my time now. But guess what? When you're a servant, you don't have no time. You see what I'm saying? That's what you got to understand. When you're a servant, you don't have no time. That moment, maybe that moment, as soon as I got all the kids in the bed, as soon as I get all the kids in the bed and the wife go to sleep and I figure, oh, it's my time, and I blaze up, that might be the very moment some of my phone ring, because I give my number out all the time. And I'll tell people, call me at any time. Because if I'm asleep, I'm not going to answer. You know what I'm saying? Because I usually put my phone on silent or something like that. So I'm not going to answer once I hit the bed. You know what I'm saying? But you just never know. You know, that moment, because I usually, like I said, I would smoke and I would, sit up and eat and watch TV about an hour. I let myself calm down and then go to bed. So what if within that moment, right after I hit that blood and start getting high, that's when somebody called me, hey man, I'm distressed and I need to hear the word of the Lord, and if I don't hear it right now, or maybe somebody had a bad accident and they need to know how to get saved. You know what I'm saying? They only got maybe 30 minutes to live. You know what I'm saying? Tell them how to get saved. And I'm well, you know what I'm saying? Man, Jesus, you know what I'm saying? Because that's how I was that day with the girl. I was just like, man, Jesus, man, he was cool, dude. And I'm so high that I can't get that done. You see what I'm saying? So that's why, like I said, 6 years ago, I made a decision. I want to be a full servant. I want to be on that level, whatever I got to give up to get there. And I made that decision and I made that sacrifice. You see what I'm saying? Because I want to be a servant, and that should be your goal. If you really being a Christian, that's just the baby steps. That's like I said, that's the first stage. You know what I'm saying? That's the easy part. That's easy to do. Just accept the Lord as Savior. Anybody can do that. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, being a good Christian, people can do that. You go to church, read your Bible, but to be a servant, that's some work. You know what I'm saying? And you got to understand, you know what I'm saying? I really look at my life. I truly, again, I'm not saying this to be super spiritual or to be better than, tell y'all I'm better, y'all, nothing like that. I really look at my life like my life is not my own. My time is not my own. So it don't bother me. Back in the day, it's football season right now. It's football season just started. Oh, man, I used to love football season, especially college. I done got away from the NFL, got more to college. Love football. You know what I'm saying? I haven't really watched a game in probably 2-3 years. You know what I'm saying? And it don't bother me that I haven't. I get on Facebook and I see, I got some friends because I'm a Green Bay fan and I'm also a Titans fan. So a lot of my friends are Green Bay and Titans fan. So if I get on Facebook or something that day, I might see, Green Bay won or Green Bay lost. You know what I'm saying? But I don't have an NFL network. You know what I'm saying? It's on my phone. I don't even got the app. I ain't signed up for the app so I can watch the game. And it doesn't bother me that I don't know what's going on in the NFL right now. It doesn't bother me that I don't know what's going on in college football right now. It doesn't bother me when my boys are playing in high school. They got this website you can get on, and it's basically like parents get on there. We just talk trash, different things. It was called Coach T, and we can get on there. And you know what I'm saying, like if we was playing Camden this week, so the Waverly fans, we'll be on there. We'll talk smack like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this, do this, do that, and then Camden like, no, y'all ain't gonna do this, do that, and you just gonna go back and forth. I used to love getting on that site. You know what I'm saying? And I come in every now and again, but I really just like to sit back and watch the argument because I don't like bragging because you never know, you know what I'm saying, any given day that anybody can lose and win. But I would like to sit back and, these people would get into these straight out arguments. Like if they was in front of each other, they'd probably fight. You know what I'm saying? But guess what? Since my son stopped playing football, high school football, I haven't been on the site since. I think I was on there like once or twice the year after, right after, because there was a couple rivalry games that was coming up, and I wanted to see what was being said. But I don't think my son's been stopped playing football in 2020. He graduated in 2020, so 2019 was his last year. So I haven't been on this site in over 2 years, and it don't bother me because I don't have time for that no more. Because I got the time that I can be spending, you know what I'm saying, watching football games, the time that we spend, on Instagram and on YouTube, unless you're doing something with God. I'm glad y'all here with me today, so you need to be on Facebook because we talking about God. But you know what I'm saying, if you just randomly going through videos and watching TikToks and all that, the way I look at it, that's time that I can be doing stuff for God. You know what I'm saying, that I can be doing things for the Lord. And that's the servant's mind. I don't feel like my life is my own. I told y'all a couple of weeks ago I was down in Houston knocking on doors. When I was knocking on doors, and I was talking to the young man and his wife about going over in the projects. And they like, hey, you crazy. You going over there. What if you get shot and all that? I told them, like, look, I'm going over there doing God's work. And as far as I'm concerned, my life is not my own. That when I gave my life to God 18.5 years ago, I told him, wherever you want me to go, whatever you want me to do, my life is yours. So my life is God. So if God want to take me out, then that he has the right to do so. Because I've given from the top of my head to the one thing I say in my prayer, from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, I'm yours to do with as you will. I've given that control to God. So if God want to take me out, then that's him. Obviously my work is done. You see what I'm saying? That's the mindset you got to have as a servant. See what I'm saying? So if you want God to talk to you, you need to get that servant's heart and that servant's mindset. Because you notice what he do to Moses. He talked to Moses. Y'all see that? He talked to Moses face to face. Now Moses, he was kind of BSing in the beginning. He was like, well, I can't talk to the Lord. I can't do this. So why send me? But once he finally accepted God's will for his life, and he finally accepted that mantle that, hey, you're my guy, to go to the people, Moses and God talked all the time. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because Moses was a servant of God. And in fact, Moses served God so well that he called him his friend. You know what I'm saying? He said, with everybody else, all these other prophets, he said, I talked to them in dreams and visions. He said, not like my servant Moses. He said, I talked to him face to face as a friend. You see what I'm saying? So if you really want God to talk to you, then you need to become a servant. Because again, how is a servant gonna know what to do unless his master instruct him on what he need to be doing? So if you want to hear God's voice, you want to talk to God, get that servant heart, get that servant mindset, give your whole heart to serving the Lord. Make sure God is your priority. And if you do that, then guess what? You'll start hearing God's voice and you hear it a lot clearly. You know what I'm saying? You won't be, just some coincidence. Oh, maybe this could be God. Like, you'll know for sure God has sent me here. This is what God want me to do. Like I said, a couple of weeks ago in Dixon, I met Miss Alicia. I have no doubt in my mind that day, I didn't get to see anybody say that day, but I know I have no doubt in my mind that wasn't what I was supposed to be. I know that's exactly where I was supposed to be because of what happened. I talked to a couple of people, and a couple of people have reached out to me since that day. You see what I'm saying? Miss Alicia's here, been faithful the 2 weeks since I met her. She's been in the video so far. You see what I'm saying? So I know I was exactly where I need to be. And if you want to know where you need to be, you want to know what you need to be doing, and you want God to speak to you and be able to show you this thing, then get the servant's heart and servant's heart and servant's mind, and you will hear God. God will talk to you. And that's what, and we're going to see, because it started off, and I'm bringing it up, because we're going to see what happened with Samuel, because it started off, the very first line, he was a servant of the Lord. We saw that, and we're going to see how him being a servant of the Lord is going to give him access, complete access to be able to hear. He actually got to hear the voice of God. You know what I'm saying? He actually got to be able to hear the voice of God because he started off as a servant. So number one, if you want to be able to hear God, you want to be in tune with God, and you want to be able to hear with God, then you should aim to be a servant. That should be your life's goal. So the next verse, it says this, and I'm going to show you, then this next verse will show you why you got to be a servant. So number one, like I said, the first verse said, meanwhile, the boy Samuel was serving the Lord by assisting Eli. And then the next part of that same verse, it says, now in those days, messages from the Lord were very rare and visions were quite uncommon. Guess what? They weren't hearing the Lord. They weren't hearing the Lord. That's what they're saying. They hadn't heard from the Lord in a while. You know what I'm saying? So it actually was true that they hadn't heard the Lord in a while. But why wasn't they hearing from the Lord? Because they didn't have a consistent relationship with the Lord. Because y'all remember, this is still the time around the judges. Matter of fact, that was Samuel going to end up being. He's going to be one of the judges of Israel. This is his time. Now, if y'all follow me, oh man, it's been weeks now because we went to Ruth and all that. But a few weeks ago, before we got into the book of Ruth, before we got into the book of Samuel, we was in the book of Judges. And what was that? Well, the lesson I was doing, it was called the vicious cycle. And y'all saw as we went through the book of Judges, what happened. The people of Israel will have a close relationship with God. First they would call out to God because they was under subjection or something. You know what I'm saying? They call out to God, Lord, we've sinned. You know what I'm saying? Forgive us. And God would hear their prayers, bless them, and then they start doing good, and for a certain amount of years they do real good, and then after a certain amount of years doing good, they end up developing apathy, and they got away from God, didn't care about the things of God no more, and then after a few years later, they end up turning their back on God, and because they turned their back on God, they end up in bad situations. And then they kept on doing it. But the whole point of that was they was very inconsistent in their relationship with God. And that's where we are. We're still in this time period of the judges where they are inconsistent with their relationship with God. So because of the inconsistency with their relationship with God, they was not able to hear God. You see what I'm saying? So number 2 is this. Be consistent in your relationship with God. You have to be consistent in your relationship with God. You cannot be back and forth. I'm on today, I'm off tomorrow, up and down when you're dealing with God. You know what I'm saying? You have to be consistent in your relationship with God. That's another thing I see so often. People will not be consistent. I try my best to get people to read their Bible every day. I try my best to get people to come and visit the church from time to time. I try my best to get, even with my Bible study, I do, matter of fact, I'm having my law sheet tomorrow. Anybody on here interested, we have a law sheet ministry tomorrow night. You know what I'm saying? I go down to Dixon, take a bus down to Dixon, and pick people up and bring them in so they can hear the word. You know, so I try my best to get people to come and listen to that. And then we only meet twice a month. So I'm like, man, if you can't be consistent in that, you're not trying to have no relationship with God. You're not trying to be in tune with God. But you have to be consistent in your relationship with God. You can't be, what do you say, the double-minded man, I'm misquoting that, but it talks about how the double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. They would say double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And when you're on with God and then off with God, on, off, that's being double-minded. You know what I'm saying? You got to be consistent with God. I did a lesson a while back. This is a while back. You probably, you can scroll down my page if you want to, but it'll probably be easily found on YouTube. But it was called, the name of the lesson was, do you praise God when you're on the mountaintop the same way you do when you're in the valley? You see what I'm saying? And what I was talking about, a lot of us, we love to praise God and give God glory when everything is going good. You know what I'm saying? Our bellies are full and our refrigerator is full and the rent is paid. Oh yeah, praise the Lord. He's blessed me. I'm so blessed. We love praising God then, but let something go wrong. Let that cupboard get empty. You know what I'm saying? Let that stomach get to growling. Let them bills get to piling up. Now, it's the first thing we do, turn our back on God. We're not consistent in our relationship. You have to be consistent in your relationship. If y'all heard me say it a million times, and if you're going to keep watching the videos, you'll hear me say it a million more times. And again, it's not a bragging thing. I'm just happy to understand consistency. There's 3 things that I do every day. And each one of these things actually going to come up as a different point in this lesson tonight. So I'm not going to get into them, dive deep into them on this point, but they're going to come up again tonight, or whether it's tonight or tomorrow, depending on how far I get tonight. But there's 3 things that I do every day. I read my Bible every day. I pray every day and look for opportunity to tell people about God every day. You know what I'm saying? I do that every day. And the way I'm able to do that, because I have scheduled time in my schedule. I've scheduled time in my schedule to do those things. See, a lot of people say, well, I want to do those things, but you don't. If you don't, tell you something. If you're going to do something for God, you have to make it a point to do it. You can't say, well, you know what I'm saying, if I feel okay, I'm gonna go to church Sunday. You got to say, I'm going to church Sunday. You can't say, well, if you know what I'm saying, if I have a fairly decent day, I'm going to read my Bible today. No, you got to be like, I'm going to read my Bible today. You can't say that, well, you know, if the weather permit or everything work out on Saturday, I'm going to go out and knock on doors. You got to say, no, I'm going out and knocking on doors no matter what. You got to be consistent with your relationship with God, and there's actions involved. There's things you have to do. There's work that you have to do if you're going to have that consistent relationship with God, because that's what's going to bring that voice of God to you when he see you being consistent. He's going to know you worth it. He's going to know that you're going to put in the work. He's going to know that he can rely on you. You know what I'm saying? It would shock God if I went a day and I didn't pray for him. You know what I'm saying? Where a lot of y'all, it's the opposite. It will shock God if a day come up and you do pray to him. You see what I'm saying? It shouldn't be like that. God should be more surprised that you didn't pray than that you did pray. And a lot of people, it's the opposite of right. Oh man, this dude, TJ, he just prayed to me. I'm just messing with you, TJ. Appreciate you being here, brother. It's been a while. I hope everything's going good for you. You know what I'm saying? But you got to be consistent in your relationship with the Lord. If you're not consistent with your relationship with the Lord, you're not going to have that closeness that you need so you can hear his voice. You see what I'm saying? Again, if you know what I'm saying, if you only hear him when he's telling you good things, you only hear him when things are going to go your direction. When you only hear him when he's talking about blessings, then, you know what I'm saying, you're not going to be able to hear him when he's telling you these other things. You know what I'm saying? And you got to be listening for the Lord all the time, because everything he tell you ain't going to always be good. And we're going to see that here for with Samuel. Like I said, depending on how deep we get into it, might not get too deep, because it's already been an hour. I can't believe it's been that quick. It must be good. You know what I'm saying? But, you know what I'm saying? You got to be consistent in your relationship with the Lord. And the only way you're going to be consistent, you have to actually schedule that time. You got to have a time set in your day. When I wake up, you know what I'm saying? Like tomorrow's Tuesday. There's several things that got to happen tomorrow. I already know they got to happen. I got, like I said, I got my Lost Sheep ministry. I got to work. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Hey, I hope you will, man. I love to have you there. 7 o'clock tomorrow night. I love to have you there. We actually got a missions conference coming, so I won't be preaching tomorrow, but the guy that's preaching, matter of fact, the guy that's preaching tomorrow is this brother Terry guy that I was talking about. I don't know if he was at the beginning of the video, but he's the one that's going to be preaching tomorrow night. So I'd love to have y'all come on out. But again, you got to have scheduled time. You know, so you got to look at your time. It's like, and I know I've used this example before, but you know, so you got to look at your time like a pizza. You know what I'm saying? Let's say a pizza or a pie or a pizza pie. Either way, you know what I'm saying? You know, normally you get a pizza. Let's say you get a medium pizza. You know, usually they slice it up and you got 8 slices there. You know what I'm saying? And what you got to do before you even take your slices out to do the thing that you want to do, it's going to be at River Lake Baptist. You know where my church at on Highway 70. River Lake Baptist Church is, I think it's 4560 Highway 70 West. But it's right there when you on the highway. It's the yellow brick building to your right, like about a mile or so after you pass the high school. Just it'll be if you're going toward New Johnsonville, it'll be the yellow brick building on your right, and it got the sign with the lights on it in front, so you can't miss it. But that's where we're gonna be at. But again, you gotta look at your time, and if you're a servant, you know what I'm saying, if you really want to have a relationship with the Lord, when you sit that pizza down and you open that box up and it's smelling all good, but before you even get a chance to dig into it, you got to get God his portion first. Because you remember one of the things that he's really upset about with Eli, and we're gonna you know, that's gonna come up here in a little bit. One of the things that he was upset about with Eli about is because his sons was taking their portions out of the sacrifice before God even got his portion. You know what I'm saying? And that's what all of us do. We do the same thing. We look at them sons like, oh man, they were wicked, but we do the same thing. We have everything else planned to do before we plan to do anything for the Lord. Like I said, that tomorrow, I got, you know what I'm saying, I got to work tomorrow. I got a training tomorrow while I'm at work for 3 hours. We got the Lost Sheep ministry, which that's going to take a lot because I have to drive. I got to get out of work, drive down to Dixon, which is 50 minutes away, pick up all my people, bring them back. Now, tomorrow, I don't have to preach, but normally I'll be doing the preaching, but I'm not tomorrow because, like I said, we got a special conference going on this week, so we're just going to attend that conference. But then after the conference, which ends about 8:30, 9 o'clock, I got to take those people back home to Dixon and then come back. It's going to be 10:30, 11 o'clock before I get back home. So tomorrow going to be a long day, and I got to get up at 6. Start at 6 because I got to get my workout in tomorrow. So I got a lot of stuff. So just like I got that workout plan, me getting up at 6 so I can work out, just like I got my working, my training plan, just like I got the going and pick people up for Dixon. Just like I got that plan. Guess what? I also got my Bible reading plan. I already know at what point I'm going to read my Bible. I already know at what point I'm going to be able to get my prayer in tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? I already know at what point I'm going to be telling people about the Lord. Which, like I said, I don't have to preach tomorrow, but normally I would be. But I'm bringing them to somewhere where they can hear some preaching. That's already in my day. You see what I'm saying? And actually, that was in my day before I even was thinking about the work stuff. You know what I'm saying? I had this one lady one time, she asked me, she was telling, she's like, John, she's like, what do you want to do? Like, no, I want to, she's like, you're a great worker. I want to elevate you in this company. You know what I'm saying? What I need to do to make it happen. What are your inspirations and what do you want to do? And I told her, like, look, I'm not being facetious. I'm not being hyper spiritual or anything. I said, but honestly, it started at 7 today. It started at 7 o'clock. Well, we'll start at 7. But I told her, I said, honestly, I said, I love this job. I said, but me, this job is just a means to provide for my family, provide the worldly things for my family. I said, really, my main priority, the thing that I really want to be elevated in is in the work that I do for God. I was like, that's my priority. I said, so it's really hard. I really think a lot about my future as far as with this company and all that. Yes, I wanted to continue. I work my butt off, and you know what I'm saying, the way I look at it, if I work hard enough, I'm going to be elevating this company because my work going to speak for itself, which it has. So since I've had the conversation with her, I've been promoted to a supervisor. You see what I'm saying? And that's just a work. But that and I said, this company though, and this work I do here, that is not my priority. I said, I work my butt off. I do my field, and I earn my paycheck. I was like, but at the same time, that's kind of just a means to an end. I said, my main priority is doing God's work. You see what I'm saying? That's my main priority, is doing God. That's what comes first in my life. You see what I'm saying? And everything I do is around. So when I look at my day, my Bible time and my prayer time and my soul winning time is often it's already mapped out before my lunch time. As a matter of fact, a lot of days like today I didn't eat lunch because I didn't have time to eat lunch because I spent my lunch break putting this lesson together. You see, that's what I do for my lunch break. I just I had a pack of peanuts that I took with me, and so I just ate the peanuts while I put this lesson together. See, it was already planned. So I had the lesson planned, me planning on working on this lesson to present to y'all before I even planned on eating. You see what I'm saying? That's what you have to do. That's how if you really want to serve the Lord, that's what you have to do. You have to have scheduled time. You have to have scheduled prayer time, scheduled Bible time, and scheduled soul winning time. You have to schedule church time. You know what I'm saying? Like I tell my kids, we got Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night. And I said, now, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, when I was little, we only went Sunday morning because our church was all the way down to Mississippi. I said, so I know I don't want to burn y'all out. But I do want to make sure y'all have the word. You know what I'm saying? So, everybody have to go Sunday morning. That's a given. But I do give them the option on they can either go Sunday night or Wednesday night, but I give them a day off. You know what I'm saying? And I let them choose that. But they have scheduled time where they're going to go to church, and they let me know, Dad, I'm not going Sunday night, so I'm going Wednesday night. You know what I'm saying? Some of them go Sunday night, some of them go Wednesday night. You know what I'm saying? But they have scheduled time. You have to schedule time. You're not going to be consistent in your relationship with God if you don't make time to be consistent with your relationship with God. You know what I'm saying? And again, nothing I hear when I'm out, I'm not going to do, oh man, I got, I work all the time and I do this and I do that. And I always say, I'm not one, I don't try to judge people or tear them down or nothing, but something I've learned over the years, especially in serving the Lord, a man is always going to make time to do what he really want to do. You know what I'm saying? He's going to make time to do what he really want. If you really want to be in church and want to be around the word of God, I don't care how many hours you work, you're going to be in church, even if you got to go there and fall asleep. You know what I'm saying? I've done that because before I moved up here, I was in Murfreesboro and I was working third shift. I was working 7 at night to 7 in the morning. And I was also running a bus route that was going down to the projects and picking kids up in Nashville. You know what I'm saying? So basically, with the place that I worked was on route to for my job. Like I worked about maybe 2-3 miles down the road from the interstate. So what I would do, and it just happened, and God worked it out. It happened, I got out work at 7, and the people left to go pick up the kids around 7. So I would basically go down the street to the parking, to the gas station down the street, right there by the interstate exit, and park. And the guys on the way down to Nashville, they would drive by on the bus and pick me up, and we go down to Nashville and pick up kids. You know what I'm saying? And what I would do, I would get on the bus and I would sleep on the way down there, give me a little nap in. Then of course the kids were always rowdy, so they kept me up. So I get up, messing with them, trying to keep them under control. And we went to church. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes in church, I had enough energy where I made it through. Sometimes I did make it through. You know what I'm saying? But guess what? The Lord's word is not turned in vain. So I know some stuff still got in there. But my point is, I could have easily been like, man, I just got out of work. I ain't got time to be working no bus route and all this. I just got out of work. But guess what? I wanted to serve the Lord. I wanted to be where God's word was at. So even though I was tired, even though I just got out of work after working 9, and not only that, I had to get out of work working 12 hours, go do the bus route, take the kids back home. By the time we got to doing all that, it was about, and then we usually grab something to eat while we was out. I want to get home to about, 1, 2, 3 o'clock, maybe. Some days, depending on how fast things went. And then I had to turn around and just get 3-4 hours of sleep to get back up and get back to work at 7 o'clock again. You know what I'm saying? But I did that because I wanted to be around the Lord. You know what I'm saying? I was dedicated to having a consistent relationship with the Lord. See what I'm saying? So if you really want to have a relationship with the Lord, you got to dedicate your time to have a relationship with the Lord, and you have to be consistent. And if you're not consistent with the Lord, then you're not going to be able to hear the Lord when he's talking to you. And you know what I'm saying? And even if you do hear him, you're not going to be able to discern. You ain't going to know, is this God? People, man, I don't know if God's got me there or is me. I don't know. You're not going to know if you don't have a consistent relationship with him. You got to have a consistent relationship with him. You had a consistent relationship, you had that walk with God, then it'll help you, allows you the ability to really get to know God. So that way you won't have to think hard. You won't have to guess if God is talking to you. You'll be able to know because you have that close relationship with him. So number 2, Be consistent in if you want to be you want to be in tune with God. You want to be able to hear God when he's talking to you. You want to be able to know when God is talking to you, be able to discern that, have a consistent relationship with the Lord. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, I know Miss Alicia, I know I'm talking about, I know you don't like getting out because being around people. You know what I'm saying? So you chose to be here. And you know what I'm saying? So that's good. And I hope you will continue to be here. But you know what I'm saying? For everybody else, if the only time you get God, some preaching is on here, then make sure you don't miss these lessons. You know what I'm saying? The good thing about this, even if you miss it while I'm doing live, you might have something come up. You know what I'm saying? But if you really want to be consistent, oh, brother, I've had people miss me. Hey, I didn't get the chance to watch you live, but I did watch it later on. You know what I'm saying? Because I always post it on my page. You know what I'm saying? Don't let nothing keep you from doing those things. You know what I'm saying? Doing that thing. If this is your word that you get, make sure nothing stop you from getting that word. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man, I had my grandkids tonight, so I didn't get to watch you live. Well, watch me. It's on my page. Watch them. Don't just not watch me at all. And that's what a lot of times, well, I didn't get to see it while I was live. I just catch them next week. See, you're not trying to be consistent. You're not being consistent with the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's 3 things I do every day. Read my Bible every day, pray every day, and look for opportunity to tell people about God every day. And if you can do those 3 things, and like I said, I'm not going to get deep into each one because they're going to come up again in separate points. But if you're not trying to have a consistent relationship with the Lord, if you're not doing those 3 things every day, your relationship is not consistent, and it's really going to be hard for you to be in tune with the Lord. Because those 3 things right there gets God's heart. It gets God's attention. If you look, when it talked about David, when God talked about David, what did he say? A man after my own heart. And what was David always doing? He was always in the Word. You know what I'm saying? He's always in prayer. You know what I'm saying? He was always in prayer. You know, you look at the book of Psalms, just basically prayers of David. You know what I'm saying? He was always in spend time in prayer. He was always he wrote the line. He said I'm misquoting it, but he basically said I was happy when they said to me, let's go to the house of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? He was always at the tabernacle sacrifices. He had a consistent relationship with the Lord, and the Lord said he's a man after my own heart. See what I'm saying? And the Lord talked to him, and he talked to the Lord. They had that consistent relationship, and because of that, he was able to hear the Lord when the Lord talked to him. He was able to hear the Lord. He was able to do the things that he did because he had that consistent relationship with the Lord, and he was in tune with the Lord. So you want to be in tune with the Lord. You want to be able to hear the Lord talking to you. You want to know when the Lord is talking to you. Then you need to have a consistent relationship with the Lord, and when you do, then you'll be able to have that be able to hear the Lord when he speaks to you. So that's number 1. Aim to be a servant. Number 2, be consistent in your relationship with the Lord. Number 3, I got to move along. Man, this time is moving too fast, y'all. I know I'm not talking that darn much. If I am, somebody give me a thumb. Don't give me a thumbs up on that. I know, but it's good. I really, like I said, this is an important important lesson, and I want y'all to get that. I want y'all to see this, because watch what happened with Samuel. So the next line, it says this, and I'm on verse 2. So it says, on one night, Eli, who was almost blind by now, had just gone to bed. Now, this thing, I'm kind of put a twist on it to make it into a point that had to do with the lesson. Because, like I said, I'm trying to help you, give you points, things that you need to do, action items you need to do, so you'll be able to hear the Lord. So I'm going to use that, even though it ain't, and I'm going to take it out of context a little bit. I'm telling y'all I'm doing it. I'm not just like switching the words around, but I'm going to take it out of context a little bit, but y'all to get where I'm going with that. So number 3 says, number 2 said, one night Eli, who was almost blind by now, had just gone to bed. Now, again, if you know Eli, he didn't have a close relationship with the Lord. You remember the Lord was upset at him because he was because of what he was letting his boys do. So number 3 is this: don't let the world blind you to the things the Lord are doing in your life. That's how you know when God, don't let the world blind you from the things that the Lord are doing in your life. God blesses us immensely. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said that's how you know he's talking to you. He's blessed. Like I said, if you woke up this morning, God spoke to you. He said, I love you. You know what I'm saying? Here you go. Here you go another day. If you ate anything today, then God says, I love this. God saying, I love you. You know what I'm saying? If you made this day and, you know what I'm saying, without no drama, that's God saying, I love you. He talks to us all the time and he do things for us. But God, he works, is subtle. You know what I'm saying? We want the like I said, we want the skies to open up and the angels to descend, you know what I'm saying, and chariots of fire and blow the trumpets and then be like, yes, therefore God said. No, a lot of stuff God do is subtle. He do subtle things, you know what I'm saying? But there's all kind of blessings that God gives us throughout the day. You know what I'm saying? And what it is, though, the world has convinced us that if you don't, you got a house, but you don't have a mansion, then God must not love you. You see what I'm saying? If you got a car, but it's only a hoopty, then God must not love you. You know, you got that car. I got a truck out there. I got a truck I just bought. It's 2009. I just got a little while ago. Love it. Nice truck. You know what I'm saying? But I got a 2002 Yukon out there that's got over almost 350,000 miles on it. That's still running. You know what I'm saying? Still faithful. That was a blessing from God there. You know what I'm saying? And I drive either one of them. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what my wife got to do, we try to use the newer truck for when we got the farther distances. But depending on what we got going on, depending on which one I drive. And I thank God for both of them. You know what I'm saying? Because the 2002 one, it was with me for a long. I've had that since. I've had it for 7 years now. I've been up here almost 9 years. So I've had it almost 8 years now. You know what I'm saying? So it's been a blessing. You know, but this world will teach you that if you don't have these material things, if you don't have money in the bank, then then God don't love you. And it's funny how most of us equate being blessed with being rich. You see what I'm saying? Most people, when they say I'm blessed, it's because they got some money in the bank. It's because they got these nice cars, these nice houses and things like that. No, that's not true blessings. True blessings is when you got peace in your life. But a lot of people, they have that money, they have these cars, they have these nice clothes, but they don't have peace. See what I'm saying? That's blessings. You know what I'm saying? If you read over Proverbs, he said, I'd rather have, well, it's something, again, I'm misquoting everything tonight. I don't know what's wrong with me tonight, but it's something to the fact that I'd rather have a humble meal, like a bowl of soup in peace, than have a steak with contention. Now I'm misquoting that, but y'all look again your Bible and you find it. You know what I'm saying? But again, God gives us peace. He gives you peace. He gives you subtle things that let you know that he loves you. It's just like being parents. You know what I'm saying? When we spanking our kids' butts, y'all remember I did the last few weeks ago when you hate your kids. When we spanking our kids' butts, that's us telling them we love them. We're not saying we love them. It ain't, you know what I'm saying, always a parent, and the kids don't look at it that way, but that's us telling them that we love them. You know what I'm saying? A little subtle thing like that. When we make the sacrifices to be the parents that they need to be, that's what us telling us we love them. And God is telling us that all the time, but this world will convince you that God don't love you because you don't have the job that you want. This world will convince you that God don't love you because you don't have the house that you want. This world will convince you that God don't love you because you don't have the clothes that you want. You see what I'm saying? Don't let this world blind you to the blessing that God has given you. If you woken up this morning, even if your health ain't the greatest, you know what I'm saying, you got a chance to wake up and maybe feel better tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? You got a chance to wake up and maybe this is the day they come with that new medication that just came out that can heal that thing that you're going through. You see what I'm saying? You never know, but this world will convince you. It will blind you to the fact that God is talking to you all the time. It will blind you to the fact that God is doing marvelous things in your life, but He's not doing the thing that you want him to do, so you just ignore it. Well, I got a car. You know what I'm saying? It's been faithful. Get me to work every day for the last 10 years. Barely have to do any repair on it, but it's not a Benz. It's not a Maybach. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not a Lamborghini. So God must not love me. You see what I'm saying? I got food, but it's not steak. You know what I'm saying? I got a house, but I mean, it's 3 bedrooms. You know, it ain't a mansion. I ain't got no pool. See, that's what the world will do to you, and to convince you that God don't love you and he ain't talking to you because you don't have these material things, when in reality, you have a house, you have a car, you have food, you have clothes on your back. Therefore, you have the love of God on you. You know what I'm saying? You have God talking to you every day because he woke you up and gave you another on this earth to honor and glorify his name and do the things that you asked to do. You've been doing some stuff. I know you've been doing some stuff you ain't supposed to do, and yet God woke you up another day. That means he gave you another chance. That means he gave his mercy once more. But see, a lot of us are blind to the fact because, again, we're not in tune with God. Because we're not in tune with God, it's hard for us to realize when God is talking to us. You know what I'm saying? God sends us, you know what I'm saying, angels all the time. He sends people in our life all the time to have influence in our lives. Just through little coincidences or whatever you want to call them. You know, so you call them coincidences, I call them God's will. He does that all the time. But of course, this world has convinced us that there is no God. You know what I'm saying? And convinced us if there is a God, he don't really care about us. So we don't see it when he's talking to us. We don't see it when he's blatantly trying to guide us in a certain direction or away from certain things. We don't see him because we don't have a relationship with him, and therefore we're not in tune with him. And that's why you got to understand, If you want to be in tune with the Lord, don't let this world blind you from these blessings that he has for you. Don't let this world blind you from the things that he's doing. Yes, you might not be where you want to be at. Yes, you might not have the food you want or the clothes you want or the cars you want, none of that stuff. But the Lord still loves you and he's still blessed to you. And the fact that he woke you up to give you another day to work to get those things lets you know right there that he's still talking to you and he's telling you, I love you. So don't let and Eli was blind to that, and that's why he ended up getting in trouble. That's why his son is destined for destruction, because he was blind to the fact of the things that God was doing for him. Matter of fact, the whole nation of Israel was. Because what did it say? It said in the line before, now in those days, messages from the Lord were very rare and visions were quite uncommon. They didn't know, they wouldn't recognize the Lord, and they smacked him in the face because they didn't have a consistent relationship. What we talk about number 2, they didn't have a consistent relationship with the Lord. So that even when the Lord was talking to them, they wouldn't know him. And that's why I'm doing this lesson. I'm telling you things that you can do so you'll be able to know when the Lord is talking to you, and you'll be able to discern whether it's the Lord talking to you or that other guy. You know what I'm saying? You want to make sure it's the Lord. And you won't be able to do that if you don't do 3 of these things that we're talking about right now. Number 1, you got to aim to be a servant. Number 2, you got to be consistent in your relationship with the Lord, with God. Number 3, don't let the world blind you to the things the Lord is doing in your life. Because these material things that we think that determines our blessings are really worthless. You know what I'm saying? And number 4, I'll probably number 4, and I'm probably stop here because it's already 8:30, and I still got like 12 more to go. So I do that. You know, I did the intro in the first 4, and then I probably do the next ones. God willing, I do the next one with y'all last week. I told you I'm trying to gauge it, and I just been running my mouth too much. I'm hoping it's helping y'all because it's just really helping me. But number 4 is this. It says, so one night Eli, who was almost blind by now, had just gone to bed. The lamp of God had not yet gone out, and Samuel was sleeping in the tabernacle near the ark of God. Now, right there, they really translated that. I don't like the way they translated that. So, like I said, this is one of the situations. This is one of those situations where I'm gonna go with the King James version. It said, and the King James version says this. It says, an ear. In verse 3, it says, an ear, the lamp of God went out in the temple of the Lord, and where the ark of God was, and Samuel was laid down to sleep. So number 4 is this. Number 4 is this. I might do one more. I might do number 4, number 5, and then I might stop there. Number 4 is this. Be sure you are doing your best to follow God's commands. Be sure you're doing your best to follow God's command. What am I talking about there? How did I get that point from that? Again, and I hope y'all will read your Bible. You got to know your Bible to understand the significance of that. He says right here, he said, ear, the lamp of God went out in the temple. If you know your Bible, you will know that when God gave Moses the laws, when he gave him the blueprints for the temple, when he told him the way the service is supposed to go, one of the things he said, the lamp is never supposed to go out. The lamp is never, you know what I'm saying? There should always be somebody there monitoring that lamp to make sure that the oil is always full, and that lamp is never, the lamp in the temple of God is never supposed to go out. So you notice what happened here. It said the lamp went out. So guess what? They wouldn't have been obedient to the commands. So again, number 4, if you really want to be able to hear God talking to your life, you have to, and you notice what I said here. You have to, I ain't say make sure you follow every God, every command, and you be perfect. Because that's the whole point of Jesus coming. We can't do it. We can't do it. We just, it's not in our nature, because we always want to give in to our selfish nature and do what we want to do instead of doing what God wants us to do, which is what separates us from God and keep us from hearing God. You know what I'm saying? But you notice what I said? I said, be sure you are doing your best. You know what I'm saying? Doing it. In other words, make sure, yes, you're going to fail. It's going to happen. It says in Proverbs, the righteous man fails 7 times, but he gets back up again because it has hope. You're going to fail, but at least make sure you're trying and you're doing your best. God, I'm doing my best to do this thing. I'm doing my best to not do this thing. And I keep messing up, God. You know what I'm saying? And God knows your heart. He knows if you really, because a lot of times we just give up trying. Oh man, I tried and I keep on messing up. So I'm just gonna give in to whatever that urge is. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you're doing your best to actually follow the commands. And again, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to have bad, but if you're doing your best, that's what God looks at. And this is what people got to understand about God. You know what I'm saying? And again, you won't know this unless you know God. The thing you got to understand about God, when you really know God, you know that God looks at your effort. He looks at your heart. You know what I'm saying? Like when I go out soul winning on Saturdays, you know what I'm saying? Yes, every time I go out, I want to lead somebody to the Lord. I mean, it's nothing, no greater feeling. I know earlier I was talking about how much I like to smoke weed and get high. There's no greater high than going out and knocking on somebody's door and they saying, no, I don't know the Lord and I would like to hear it or hear the gospel. And you share that gospel and you see them make the decision about their head and accept the Lord as Savior. There's nothing better than. So every time I go out, I want to see people saved. I feel like I'm building God's kingdom. You know what I'm saying? I just made room for, I led this person to the Lord and God gave me the ability to lead this person to the Lord. So now, he got to go build another mansion. You know what I'm saying? That's how I look at it. So that's what I want. You know what I'm saying? But God doesn't judge me. When I get to heaven, he ain't going to say, oh, you didn't meet your quota. You didn't have, so X amount of people, you went out that day and didn't see nobody saved. That's not what he's going to judge me on. He's going to judge me on the fact that I went. You see what I'm saying? That's why I tell people all the time, well, I can't do this. Just go. Just go and do the work. That's what God is looking at. Are you going to at least make the effort to go and do the work? Yes, because the thing is, it said God, we plant the seed, one plants the seed, one waters the seed, but God gives the increase. And that's what the thing I gotta understand. Like I said, when I went out a couple of Saturdays ago, met Miss Alicia. I didn't see nobody saved that day, but yet now I have me a faithful member here. You see what I'm saying? God gave the increase on that day. I didn't know what God had planned for me that day, but I would have never knew if I didn't go. You see what I'm saying? I still went. And that day, I was actually running behind. We had I think we had an hour before it got dark. So I really kind of pressed up against it. You know what I'm saying? That's why I was like, man, I hope I just kind of picked there because it was kind of convenient to where we was at the time. And I'm just going to go in this area. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know if I was exactly where I was supposed to be, but God showed me I was. You see what I'm saying? He showed me this is what he put on my heart. I listened. Somebody said, hey, you ain't been in these apartments or why I go to those apartments. I listened and God blesses because of it. You see what I'm saying? But I just went. And this you got to understand. A lot of us, we won't even try. Well, I'm not going to do, I know I ain't going to be able to do it. So I'm just not going to even try to do it. And that's the wrong attitude to have. Do your best. That's what God, he grades you on. That's why, when Paul talking about God judging us and the way judge things, when God talks about judging, he always say, I know your heart. You know what I'm saying? He knows if you put 100% into doing that thing that he told you to do. He also knows if you put 100% into not doing the thing that he told you to do. He knows. That's why he's going to be able to judge fairly, because he knows your heart. Yeah, John, you went out. You didn't see nobody saved, but I know you wanted to. I know your heart was in it. You went out there to do my work. You didn't just go out there just to go. You went out there to do my work. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't have nobody for you that day. You know what I'm saying? You just didn't come across the plate, or you didn't have enough time, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? But he's going to judge the intentions of my heart. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Because some people have good intentions, but sometimes it lead astray. But when you're doing the thing of God, you know what I'm saying? God, that's what God, look at your intentions. And sometimes I even question my intentions. Like, I like to think I do this, you know what I'm saying? I believe I do this because I love y'all. Because there's a lot of work goes into this. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes into this. A lot of time goes into this. And I do this because I love y'all. You know what I'm saying? But only God knows, am I doing this because I really love y'all, or am I doing this because I want y'all to think I'm something special? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I like to believe I love you because it's a lot of work, and I've wanted to give up several times, but I keep going because I feel it's important. You know what I'm saying? But God knows, and he's going to judge my heart about it. I might sometimes get on this video, and I got like 4 of y'all on here now. Sometimes it's just one. Sometimes I've been on here and preached, and it's been 0. You know what I'm saying? God don't judge me by how many people I get to watch the videos. He judges me by the time and effort. Did I put in the same amount of effort that I always put in? You know what I'm saying? Did I do the same amount of prayer? Because I always pray before I put these lessons together for the Spirit to guide me. Do I put the same kind of effort and enthusiasm of doing these lessons? That's what I'm going to be judged by. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I say do your best. Because God, he knows you can't follow these commands. That's the whole point of Jesus came. We can't follow these commands. We don't have it in us to do it. But if you put your whole heart into doing it, God sees that and he honors that. You know what I'm saying? When you go out knocking on doors, he honors that. You know what I'm saying? He knows that you had the intention. You might not have been successful in what you did, but you had the intention to, you might not have been successful in getting anybody into his kingdom that day, but you had the intention and you went there wholeheartedly hoping that you would get somebody into the kingdom that day. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I say do your best. You want to be able to talk to God. You want to be able to hear God when he talks to you. You want to have God touch your heart. Then be sure you are doing your best to follow God's commands. We're going to fall short. We all have fallen short of the glory of God. It's going to happen, but that don't mean that you shouldn't try. You know what I'm saying? I strive to be perfect. Now, I ain't gonna lie, and it's not being arrogant. I strive to be perfect, but I mess up every single day. But you know what? When I mess up today, I might have something like, man, you know what? I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying? I told y'all before, I still got a potty mouth. And I try my best, especially at least once a week, because I fast once a week. And I do a day of fasting where I try not to, curse. I try not to, have wonder. I'm bad with wandering eyes. If y'all know what that means, you know what I'm saying? Let my eyes wander, especially when the way women dress these days. I'm bad with that. So I try my best. Like, you know what? This day I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna put my blinders on. I'm gonna go for it. And by the moment I say that, I walk into Walmart and some chick got on a turtleneck with a booze popping out the top of it. And then there I go. I done messed up. Like, dang it. I got to work again tomorrow. I ain't gonna be like, oh man, I can't do it. I'm just gonna look and just have my feel of it. You know what I'm saying? Do your best to follow the commands. You know what I'm saying? Because again, the Lord rewards, he honors your effort. He honors what's in your heart. He sees what's in your heart, and he will honor those things if you're truly trying to honor him. Not yourself, not to make yourself look good in front of people, not to, build your own following kingdom, but you're truly wholeheartedly doing what you're doing so you can honor and glorify God and build his kingdom. He sees that. Do your best to do that. And one of the ways you be able to have him, be able to talk to him is be sure you're doing your best to follow his commands. You see what I'm saying? They wasn't following his commands. It's like I said, that's why I say you got to know your Bible. And I did it for y'all, but go back and read. And I think it's I can't remember, it's Leviticus and Numbers, one of those chapters, Deuteronomy, one of those boring chapters where he just give out all these rules and regulations. But one of the things was you're not supposed to let the lamp in the temple go out. And we see here they weren't doing it. And it said Sam was asleep. It was always supposed to be somebody watching that lamp to make sure that lamp was always burning, but it had went out. You know what I'm saying? So they wasn't honestly completely, they weren't doing it on purpose, but it wasn't following the full commands of God. And if you do that, if you find yourself always doing what you want to do, always rebelling, and always going against the things of God instead of going for the things of God, it's going to be hard for you to hear God to talk to you, and he might not talk to you. Because again, what did it say? Now in those days, messages from the Lord were very rare and visions were quite uncommon. That's right there at the end of verse 1. Why? Because they wasn't following God's command. That was at that point during the Judges when Israel didn't have a consistent relationship with the Lord. That's why they wasn't having vision. That's why they wasn't hearing God, because they wasn't in tune with God. They didn't have that close relationship with God they needed to be able to hear God and have God talk to them. So number 4, be sure you are doing your best to follow God's command. Number 5, I'm going to go ahead and do number 5, and that'll be a good stopping point, and I'll try to finish up the rest next Monday. So number 5, so we go here, because I want to see y'all when God show up. I want to see what happened. So it says, again, it goes back and said, and the way they translated, like I said, is wrong. That's why I went with the King James Version. And matter of fact, this next line, I'm going to go with the King James Version as well. But it says, Samuel was sleeping in the tabernacle near the ark of God. It says, suddenly the Lord called out, Samuel, Samuel. Yes, Samuel replied, what is it? And he jumped up and ran to Eli. Here I am. What do you need? I didn't call you, Eli replied. Go on back to bed. So he did. So again, right there, I'm going to read the King James Version of what happened. So in verse 4 and 5 in the King James Version, Samuel was laid down to sleep, that the Lord called, in verse 4, that the Lord called Samuel, and he answered, here I am. So he answered when the Lord called, but watch what he did. He said, and he ran unto Eli and said, here am I, for thou callest me. And he said, I called not, lie down again. And he went and lay down. So number 5 is going to be this. I'm going to end right here because I'm always past my time. Number 5 is going to be this, but this is important. I really wanted to get this one in. And you see situation. First of all, they hadn't heard a vision from God. They haven't heard God's voice. And God finally did call. And you notice what he did. He said, oh, here I am. He answered. But then what did he do? He ran to Eli. So number 5 is going to be this. Let your desire be to please God and not man. See, God was calling him, but he didn't run to God. Who did he do? When he ran to? He ran to the world. He ran to Eli. He ran to man. You see what I'm saying? And that's what a lot of us keeps us out. A lot of that us want to please man and want man glory. You know what I'm saying? I was and this is not I know because she seemed like a pretty good Christian woman. I haven't talked to her in a while. But I went to school. This lady that I went to school with, she just won an Emmy for a show she's doing. It's like a spinoff of Judge Judy. I can't think of the name of it. It's Judy Justice is what it is. I actually went to school. I graduated with a young lady. I went to TSU with her. She's a producer on that show, and she just won an Emmy for her production on that show. And she was just so happened this week. She was on Facebook. She had posted it and and she was praising God the whole time. Like I said, she seemed like a good Christian woman, and that's what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, it's a lot of people, they live for that. They live to get, They live to get the Oscars, and they live to get the Grammys, and they live to get the Lombardi Trophy. It's football season right now. These guys dedicate their whole life to getting their body to the point where they can have their Super Bowl trophy. They live for worldly things, instead of living for godly things. Why? Because they want to please the world. Now, God was calling Samuel, but who did he run to? He ran to man. He didn't run to God. You know what I'm saying? Now we're going to see he didn't run to God because he didn't really know God. You know what I'm saying? Which is why I'm doing this lesson, telling you things that you need to do so you'll be able to know when God is calling you. So that was his problem. He didn't really know God, so he didn't know God was calling him. So again, instead of him running, run to God, but he ran to man. And that's a lot of us do that. We have a desire to please man more than we have God. This happened. Came up a couple of weeks ago. Y'all know my middle son. I told y'all before. He has high functioning autism. And he's still at that point. He's 20 something, and I'm probably gonna be dealing with it forever. But he's just trying to figure out which direction to go in, what he need to do. And he's very intelligent, super intelligent. Super intelligent kid. He just don't have common sense, wisdom. Basically, what would be wisdom. So he's still trying to kind of find his way, and I'm trying to guide him, and I'm trying to help him see the importance of doing so for God. So the other day he came to me like, Dad, he said, man, I think I know what I want to do. I said, what? He said, I want to be a superhero. I said, superhero? He's like, yeah, I want to be a superhero. I said, well, son, you can do that. He thought I was going to shoot him down. I said, you can do that. I said, I'm a superhero. He said, what are you talking about? I said, you didn't realize I'm a superhero? And I asked, what do superheroes do? He said, they try to save people, right? I said, yeah. I said, and essentially what they want to do, they want to be that guy that saves the world. Well, guess what? If you got soul winning and do God's work, you're literally saving the world. I said, so you want to be a superhero, son? Just serve God more. He's like, man, I never thought like exactly. And I said, the thing is, son, you're trying to do all these superficial things. And you want to be a superhero because you want men to praise you because, you rescued that woman from that burning building, or, you saved this person's life, you saved this person's life. I said, but what's the point of being a superhero, a worldly superhero, and saving somebody's life, and that's going to still die eventually, and then they soul got to burn in hell because you never gave them the gospel? I said, honestly, the work that I'm doing is greater than anything Superman ever could have did. I ain't never seen Superman give out no gospel tract. I've seen him stop bullets, speeding bullets. I've seen him, jump tall buildings, whatever that description they get. I've seen him do those things. And of course, he's a fictional character, but, I've seen him do those things, but I ain't never seen him tell nobody about the Lord. You see what I'm saying? So if you want to be, we do that thing. And I said, son, everything that, you want to do something great, because he wants to do something great. And I said, you want to do something great, but you don't realize you want to do something great for this world. When in reality, if you really want true greatness, you need to do something great for God. Because whatever you do for this world, it may last for a little while, but it's going to burn out eventually. I said, but when you do something for God, that is eternal. That lasts forever. When you go out and take somebody a gospel tract and tell them how to get saved, that lasts forever. That has an everlasting effect that will never fade away. I said, so instead of constantly focusing on which direction you need to go in, what do you need to do so you can do something great in the eyes of men, you need to focus more on what can you do to do something great in the eyes of God, because that's what's most important. You see what I'm saying? And that sound like, but the good Spirit just gave me that, because he came in and he just hit me like, I want to be a superhero, and I'm like, man, that's what I do. I'm like, superhero, what are they doing? They try to save the world from evil. What am I doing when I'm out soul winning? I'm trying to save souls from the evil of the devil. You know what I'm saying? And my ultimate goal, I want to save the world. What do heroes always want to do? They want to save the world. You see what I'm saying? So if you really want to be a hero, you really want to be in tune with God, then let your desire be to please God and not man. Because we don't realize we work hard. We stack up this money. We get these big houses. Again, I've been talking about it earlier. We get these cars and clothes and jewelry around that because we want somebody to be like, ooh, look at him. Oh, man, that's nice. You know, I remember when Spinning Rims came out. When I was in Memphis, and the 3 6 Mafia came out with this song Spinners. The next thing you know, everybody had to get spinners. You know what I'm saying? Then somebody came out with a song talking about 20s. Everybody had to get 20s. And then once everybody started getting 20s, next thing you know, it's 22. And then next thing you know, it's 24. Now, people got 30-inch rims. They got rims on so big on their vehicle, they can't even turn correctly. Why? Because they want somebody to say, ooh, they want to please a man. Or they want to impress a woman. You know what I'm saying? And nobody really puts any effort or desire in trying to please God. And then we wonder why we don't hear God when He's talking to us. Or we wonder why God don't talk to us. See, again, I'm reading for you again. Now, in those days, messages from the Lord were very rare and visions were quite uncommon. They weren't hearing God. God wasn't talking to them because they weren't trying to please God. They was trying to please man. And that's what happened with Samuel. Now, Samuel's young. You know what I'm saying? He's was raised up in this godless generation. So it's really not his fault kind of thing. He worked in the temple, and we're going to see, and again, like in the next lesson, it's the very next point actually, but I'm not going to get to it tonight because I'm already past my time, but we're going to see he worked in the temple, and he worked as a servant of God, and we're going to see that he didn't even know God. You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't his fault because the way he was raised. It was Eli's fault because he was the priest. He should have trained him in the ways of God like he was supposed to, but obviously he wasn't doing that because he wasn't even doing that for his sons because his sons didn't know God as well. So he didn't teach his sons to know God. He definitely wasn't going to teach his servant boy to know God. And therefore, when God called him, he was more concerned with pleasing Eli than he was answering God, answering Eli's call than answering God's call. So number 5, let your desire be to please God and not man. You know what I'm saying? That's why I told my son, I said, son, I love you, and I know you want to do something great. You know what I'm saying? Because he thought about, and I mean, honestly, he's smart enough to do it. He thought, I'm going to invent a time machine so I can help people correct wrongs in their life. And I mean, he's had all kind of crazy things, the things that he want to do, but every one of them stems from doing something for man. And that's when I finally told him, like, I want to be a superhero. Like, son, you can be a superhero. I said, I'm a superhero. Why? Because I'm trying to save the world from evil. I'm out here knocking on doors, telling people about the Lord. I'm on here running my mouth for 2-3 hours when I was only supposed to be an hour and a half, and it's an hour and 45 minutes. I'm still running my mouth because I'm trying to save this world from evil. I'm trying to save souls. I'm trying to help people build a relationship with the Lord. Like, when you do stuff like that, that is a true superhero. Because the stuff that these superhero dudes, Spider-Man and all those guys, even though they're fictional, even though they fictional, the stuff they do, you know what I'm saying, it might last for a little while, but eventually it ain't going to mean anything. But like I said, when you do something for God, that's eternal, son. That's why I told my son, I said, son, you really want to be a superhero, do more for God. You know what I'm saying? That's what you need to do. He had a day off the other day. He's like, Dad, if you had a day off, what would you do? And I told him again, one trying to be hyper spiritual, I would probably read my Bible a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? I don't get days off very often. Usually I'm somewhere every day doing something. I said, I'll probably read my Bible a little bit more. I do some more writing. I said, I do something that'll get me in a closer relationship with the Lord. And he's like, dang. You know what I'm saying? He just didn't think about it. Again, he's high functional autism, so he don't think about things like that. And I'm glad he's coming to me and I'm able to guide him in that direction. But we all got to get that mindset. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, he wants to do great things. And I know he wants to do great things. That's why he's like, I want to be a superhero. I want to build this. I want to build that. But all those things are superficial. And that's why I said, son, all those things are superficial and worldly. If you really want to be great, you really want to do something to change this world, give your whole heart to serving God, and you will have those things. You'll be able to do those things that you want to do that will truly help others. You know what I'm saying? So number 5, and I'm going to stop there, let your desire be to please God and not man. So again, some of y'all came in late. Go back and watch the intro. The reason why I'm only getting the 5 points because the intro was like 40 minutes. But I really just, like I said, the Spirit was on me. So please go back and watch the intro if you missed it, because it really just kind of gave you the, you know, broke the lesson down. Well, why I wanted to go into this lesson, shared a couple of good stories. But the 5 points that I did get to, and of course the overall theme of this lesson is God is not talking. God is talking, but you're not listening. So these things that I'm telling you tonight are 5 things that you can do. The first 5 action items that you can do so you can be in tune with God, so you be able to listen to God and know when God is talking to you. Number 1, aim to be a servant. Number 2, be consistent in your relationship with God. Number 3, don't let the world blind you to the things the Lord is doing in your life. Number 4, be sure you are doing your best to follow God's command. And number 5, I'm going to finish here tonight, let your desire be to please God and not man. So that's I'm gonna stop here tonight because, like I said, I'm already past my time. I hope to be done a little earlier so I can get in some good family time before they have to go to bed. But I thank y'all for joining me tonight. I'm gonna stop here tonight. Finish my normal announcements. God willing, next Monday, since I got the intro out the way and the first 5 points out the way, I should be able to finish up the last 11 points. So if y'all just really touch your heart and you really learn from this, or, you know what I'm saying, the Lord brought you on a conviction about this, please come back. That's why I wanted to get it all done tonight, but I knew most likely it wasn't going to happen. But please come back next Monday, 7 o'clock, God willing. I'll finish up this lesson and give y'all, I got about 11 more things that you can do that'll help you get in tune with God, so you'll be able to hear God when he's talking to you, and you'll be able to discern whether it's God talking to you or that other guy, and you can have that close relationship with God so you'll know exactly what God has for you to do in this world. With that being said, finishing announcement as always. If there's anything I haven't covered already, or do you want me anything in particular that's on your heart that you need want me to do a lesson on, please inbox me and let me know. I'll work that into my lesson plan. Keep sharing the videos, telling others about the videos. The views have been going up, so I appreciate y'all doing it. I know it's because of the word of mouth that's going around. So I appreciate y'all. Keep doing that so we can get these truths out there. If you're not sure about, of course, of always, if you're not sure about your salvation, you're not sure that if you was to die today, that you would go to heaven, please reach out to me and let me know. I would hate for anybody to be in the sound of my voice and not know the gospel, and not know that they have a day where they accepted Jesus Christ as Savior. So if you feel like that, you're not 100% sure that you will go to heaven if you die, reach out to me and let me know. I will schedule some time to go over the gospel with you so you can make that decision, hopefully help you make that decision, and you'll be able to accept Jesus Christ as your Savior. Also, in other kind of spiritual counseling you need, you're going through some things, don't quite understand the Bible, or just, you know what I'm saying, want to talk about something, reach out to me and let me know. Again, I put that in my schedule so we can get together and spend that time together. And as always, y'all, this is my YouTube page. If you want to catch some of my old sermons, it's easier. You can scroll up and down my Facebook page and look at them, because I always post them on there and I never delete them. But it's a lot easier to go down my YouTube page, because I put them in the order there, where on my Facebook you got to deal with all the memes I get posted in and all that kind of stuff when people tagging me. But this is it, God Service / God Service / Lost Sheep Ministries. Go to YouTube, type that in the search bar, to take you to my channel. Subscribe to the channel so you can be able to get updates whenever I put a new video. And I'm actually current on my videos. If y'all missed me last week, I did the lesson last week. It was a great lesson. I feel it was a great lesson. But it was called Hating the Truth Because You're Loving the Lie. And it's actually, I got it, I think what I'm going to start doing now, Sunday night, I used to do my budget. So before I do my budget, I'm going to sit down and download the video. That way I don't keep falling behind. So it is updated. All my videos are on there. If you missed the lesson last week, please go back. You can either watch it on my Facebook page or go to my YouTube page and watch that as well. So with that being said, I've already talked enough, way too much. Please join me next Monday at 7. We're going to finish this lesson up. It'll be part 2 of this lesson. We're going to finish this lesson up. And, of course, if you're in my Lost Sheep Ministry, we will be meeting tomorrow night. But we're going to meet at 7 instead of 6 like we normally do. So if I'm picking you up from Dixon, I'll be in that area about 6 o'clock with the bus to pick you up. And we're going to hopefully have a good old-fashioned good time. Hear some good word tomorrow night. So with that being said, I'm going to pray and I'm going to get out of here. Dear Lord and Heavenly Father, thank you so much for watching over me. Once again, Lord, try to do my best to bring this truths out. Wanted to listen to you as far as the direction I wanted to go to, that I need to go with this lesson. And I pray that I did follow your direction. I did go in the direction you wanted me to go. And I pray that your spirit worked on the hearts of the people that watched this lesson and watched this video, Lord. And I pray that would bring them on a conviction, help them see, you know what I'm saying, if they have that feeling that they can't hear you anymore, or they never heard you, or they don't know what direction you want to go, help them see, because they're not in tune with you, Lord, and help them see there's some things they need to do. And I only got through 5. I got 11 more, so I pray they'll come back next week. But there's some things they need to do, that if they do those things, then they will be able to hear you clearly. They'll be able to walk with you and have that good, close enough relationship with you to know and be able to discern when you're talking to them and when you're not. They'll be able to discern on which way they need to go or which way they don't need to go, Lord. And I just pray you bring them under conviction about it, and give them the courage and the attitude, the right attitude, and the heart and the conviction to do the things they need to do to make that change, so they can be in tune with you. We ask you to continue to watch over this ministry, continue to help it grow and prosper, reach out to the community, change the lives of others, capture lost souls of men, be with me and my family and all my ministry members. Continue to use us all to do this mighty work, to honor and glorify your name and accurately build your kingdom. Keep us all safe as we finish up this night, Lord, as we prepare for another week. This is the beginning of the week, and just keep us safe as we prepare for another Father, we give us the strength we need and the guidance we need to get everywhere we need to be, to do everything that we need to do. And Lord, just please, I ask you to be with this world, just folks, so we can have a day where the world as a whole, we will humble ourselves, pray, seek your face, and turn from our wicked ways, so you can hear from heaven, forgive our sins, and heal our lands, and just turn our hearts back to you, Lord. Continue to watch over us, continue to bless us and guide us, and just give us the wisdom and the spirit we need, so we can do everything we can to honor and glorify your name and actively build your kingdom. We love you so very much. Thank you for this time in your word tonight. And we say this prayer in your wonderful son, Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thank y'all for hanging in there with me. Again, I appreciate y'all for being here. If you came in late, please go back and watch the beginning. Just Lord Spirit really gave me a message, and I think it's really important that y'all get it all. So, but thank y'all for being here tonight. God willing, like I said, next Monday at 7 o'clock, I'll finish this lesson up. And until the end, I love you all. Pray for me, and I'll continue praying for y'all. And don't forget to watch your back and pray always. I love you and thank you for everything. And I say, y'all, that's how I end my prayer. I love you all. Thank y'all for being here. Until next time, peace.